Hello. Hey, everybody. Welcome to Race Day 27. It's AMX Global League Season 3, and we're back for another day here in AMX 0. Starting off things from high above Willow Springs, one of the newer tracks in iRacing. It's going to be a good day. We'll be racing some of the fastest cars in iRacing, LMP2s and 3s, starting off with Ligier JSP 320. Wow, what a great day to be here. I hope you all are having a great day. Thanks once again for watching us from wherever you are, whether it's Twitch or YouTube, or whether you're watching a video or live. We're happy to have you with us here today for Race Day 27. I'm happy to be here today, and I'm also happy to be here today with my co-caster, Evan. Evan, how are you doing?
It's always a good day to go racing, isn't it? It's always a good day to watch some very fast cars. We have LMP2s and LMP3s, as Ree said, and yeah, I'm very excited to get started into this one. I should say it's going to be a good evening.
That's right. It is evening for Evan. It's really evening for us out here in Korea and wherever you are in the world, whenever you're racing. We have had some people racing at some really crazy times here. I remember, I think Josh Perwin, a guy from Australia, would routinely wake up at 2-3 a.m. in the morning, hop onto a sim race, and then go back to bed. Like, that's some commitment. And in truth, all of our drivers are pretty committed. I appreciate your commitment to be here today, Evan. It's going to be a good day of races.
It is. It's always a good day for racing, and it's a pleasure to be here.
Well, we're glad to have you, and we're glad to have all of our players here today. Let's go ahead and talk about what and where and how they're doing what they're doing today by starting off with a quick overview. Now, you guys have heard this 100 times this season. Feels like about 100 times. So I'll just go over things. $25,000 on the line, ending December 17th. Race format is 15-minute qualifier, Heat 1, Heat 2, with top 15 reverse grids in between. That shapes things up to be a little bit more exciting, a little bit more dynamic, that's the word we're using, than maybe your normal racing tournament. But if you got 50 minutes on your hands and you like sim racing, we'd love to have you come out here and join us for any of our 20 races left this season, actually less than that now. For AMX 0, if you join via the video link on our website or via the announcement in our Discord channel, then we give you an extra $1. And it is required to join via video for AMX 10, the pinnacle of AMX racing, a little bit later on. So we do ask that you join via the video link on our website or in our Discord. We do pay out balances over $100 every month, so once you make over $100 in AMX 0 or AMX 10, we are sending that out to you at least every month. And we're racing on Wednesdays, Saturdays, and Sundays, so if you'd like to know when to join us for all of our AMX races, we're going to show it to you. If you're in the Americas region, we are racing in the evenings on Wednesday and in the afternoons on Saturday and Sunday, right around noon. We start things off. If you are looking to join AMX 10, it's just about an hour and a half later on. If you are in Europe, then we are racing late at night on Thursdays and on Saturday and Sunday. It's basically Wednesday night, if you want to think about it that way. Saturday, Sunday, we are racing on the evenings, 5:50 p.m. start. That is Central European time. Here's a look at the AMX 0 prize pool. It's $100 prize pool on the line for every single race. And we're going to give you an extra $1 for fastest lap and for turning on your camera. So make sure to join via video link on the website or in the Discord. $7 for first place in qualifier. That's right, qualifier, Heat 1 and Heat 2, and a reverse grid in between. Might make it a little bit more difficult for you to get that full prize placement. Although we have had Quarantine Guinness, I believe, the AMX 0 Triple Crown winner for this season. Really cool to see so much success in AMX 0 this season. But we're not just racing for money. We're also taking a look at the GT Light Pro on the line from our friends at Next Level Racing, who have partnered with us to provide this GT Light Pro to the AMX 0 champion this season. So there's a lot more to fight for this season, thanks to our friends at Next Level Racing. If you guys are in the market for a fantastic sim racing cockpit, Look no further. Next Level Racing, big thanks to them for partnering with us to level up AMX Zero this season by providing that GT Light Pro to the AMX Zero champion, who is currently quarantine Ganez sitting at number one, $274.30 in first place. Jackson Resenje in second, and Gerardo Ramos in third, sitting there with $167, $1, actually 40 cents above Fabrizio Belziti down there in fourth. That's just a look at the AMX Zero Top 12 to give you an idea of what the leaderboard looks like. If you want to get your name up there, amxrace.com. Go there, join us, and we'll see you out here. This is the average winnings per race, which functions like a power ranking. We give players money based on their performance, and so the highest average performance is the highest average earnings, and that's what you see on your screen right now. Quarantine Ganez and Karen Harrison locking down the top two for what is it? I forgot their SimRC DE. I believe so. And Gustavo Ariel, Victor Miranda holding it down for TK Racing by Tony Kanaan, or Texaco Racing by Tony Kanaan there. With Guile Valero there, I believe he is on Apex Racing. So lots of great teams and racers up there putting up some absolutely incredible performances. And just like it's incredible to be on the top 12 list with one race, it's also pretty neat to be up there with 20 races, which shows that you have that consistency. Come out here, race a lot, and put up good performances every single time. And that just looks like it's about it for our housekeeping, which means it's time to get down to the good stuff. Speaking of good stuff, Evan, take it away. Tell us what and where we're racing today.
So we're racing at Willow Springs International Raceway, which is just about 80 miles north of Los Angeles. It is a 4.023 kilometer circuit, or 2.5 miles to the dot. It was originally created to be a replica of the famous Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Ken Miles, who I say Le Mans winner, he should have been, he was scammed out of it, but there's a whole movie about that you can watch. He actually helped design this circuit, and it did feature in that film. It's also featured in Manny, a US TV drama. Maybe Reed can tell you more about those. But it is the oldest permanent road course facility in the United States of America, and it is very tricky because there's no such thing as a curb here, there's no such thing as a runoff here. It is tarmac and it is sand, so the drivers could find it tricky this evening.
Yeah, if you guys have ever also... Oh, go ahead. I was just going to fill in with the reference. It's awesome that Willow Springs exists not only in iRacing but also in the lore that Evan mentioned. I actually didn't think you'd dig deep down enough to get there. So I respect the reference. If you guys want to check that out, there's also a great movie called Willow Springs, which has absolutely nothing to do with this racetrack, but I did watch part of it when I was looking up the track, and it's horrible, so maybe skip that one, but keep it tuned here. It's great to be out here on Willow Springs, racing on one of the newer iRacing tracks this season.
Well, in terms of what we know about, which is not motion pictures, it is machinery. This is the Ligier JS machine. Has a Nissan V8 engine, 5.6 litres to be exact, 460 brake horsepower, and it is rear wheel driven. 950 kilos, as you can see on your screen, and it does have a 6-speed sequential gearbox. You're going to notice that about a lot of race cars here. The majority of them have that gearbox in them. The chassis for this machine was made, of course, by HP Composites, which is a very famous chassis maker across the world, and the gearbox it was by Magneti Moretti, not the alcohol brand. They are also a very famous manufacturing company, but it's a good car. It is a really good car. The drivers are going to have fun driving this one. We've had some interesting cars, of course, in AMX Zero. This is one of the better bunch, I'd say. You can see it on your screen. It looks very complicated, but trust me, it isn't. It's light, it's quick, and it's noisy.
The noisiness is, of course, the best part by far. I mean, it is kind of a classic car when you talk about the LMP3 Le Mans prototypes. It's very well represented, and of course it was a great addition here to iRacing. As we hop into the qualifying session, this just looks so cool. You really associate a lot of LMP racing with these iconic European tracks, and to have this out here on Willow Springs really is marrying the European racing scene with some of the best tracks that America has to offer. We just saw that happen with F1 going to Las Vegas, and now we're bringing some Ligiers to Willow Springs, mixing it up, coming across the pond, as it were, Evan. Something that we are also doing here at AMX with you and I commentating.
Yeah, very, very true. I have been in America twice, if that means anything. Never here in Willow Springs. But you say we go from F1 and Las Vegas and Willow. So that's probably the biggest jump you could possibly make in motorsport, because you've gone from glamorous casinos to literally cacti being on the apex of corners. But initially I thought that's a bit of a weird car and track combo, but the more I thought about it, honestly, this could be really, really intriguing. I was looking at the practice times just while Reed was doing the housekeeping, and breaking news, Florentine Ganez was not quickest. It was Kieran Harrison who had the number on him in practice. So that's really intriguing leading into qualifying. I wonder, can the Brit maybe be the favourite after this session?
I was actually thinking about what we would be looking at in qualifying, and I was like, okay, well, let's just see what the track records are for LMPs on Willow Springs. But needless to say, there are none, because I don't think WEC is coming to Willow Springs with the 24 hours of racing in the desert. I wouldn't mind it, and we're going to get a little bit of a taste of it here today as we hop on board my new favorite racer. A little bit of a crime when it comes to names. This is Dorian. What was it? Le Livre. Yeah. Anyway, I tried. And if you want to know how to pronounce his name, you can hop into the AMX Global Discord, where he helped us out a little bit. Le Livre. Like, I'm trying, Evan. Do you have a better attempt here?
Well, you're American and I'm Irish. We're not really suited to pronounce French surnames, are we?
This may be, if we have a Scottish broadcaster come on here too, then we have the holy trifecta of inability to pronounce French names. But I appreciate the effort.
Dorian Lelivois is my attempt.
Wow.
But if there is someone watching, I'll check the stream chat in 5 minutes. Please tell us. We would really appreciate it. But Dorian, which at least we know that one's right, we can call him Dorian for the foreseeable, is in third in this qualifying. In terms of track records, the only one I could find was by Al Lam, which was in a Frisbee GR2. It was 1:15.9, however, it was in 1987. So we are already 5 seconds quicker than that. Well, Zamperlini actually isn't. He has set that exact lap. But the rest of them are all 5 seconds quicker than that, as Gerardo Ramos goes quickest, but beaten by Kieran Harrison.
Was correct me if I'm wrong, but the car you were mentioning was was it GR2, like Frisbee GR? Those cars are so cool. I honestly wish we had more. They do not look like a Frisbee guy. If you are thinking about that, no. These are some, like, I guess they're early prototype cars from the 80s, and they were so cool. I actually think I watched a few of them on TV when I was growing up. And yeah, it's no surprise that they made it out here to Willow Springs. So we've got their big brothers racing here today in the Ligier. As we hop on board, Kieran Harrison, he's got the SimRC decals on, and a really great livery. And LMP liveries are so cool. They really just accentuate the rocket ship sort of, build of the chassis. And of course, there's Kieran Harrison, one of the best racers in AMX Global League Season 3, so it's exciting to see him bring this Ligier to life out on Willow Springs here for us today.
Yeah, and it is a beautiful livery MRC. There was an old saying from Enzo Ferrari, it was, any car that wins looks beautiful. I think any car with a nice livery looks beautiful. But the SimRC is one, of course. Him and Corentin Guinness representing that SimRC team. And look, they're two of the top guys here in AMX Global. 1-2 here in the session, which I didn't even notice when I was saying that, but they are 1-2 here in the session. Harrison beating Guinness, but it's only by 100th. So they're both on pretty much equal pegging.
Yeah, I was actually about to comment on that, Evan. It looks like, we really do have some very, very tight times. And we're only 5 minutes in. We haven't really even gotten warmed up yet. Well, I mean, it's in the desert, so it's going to be a hot, hot day for the drivers and the asphalt out there. But for the most part, he is going to stay on the timing tower, where we can see exactly what it looks like today. It looks like we have about 11 racers. You can join at any time during qualifier. So there's still time to hop in your sim rig, double-click that button on amxrace.com, get in here and join us. Because we do pay out to the top 15. So if there's less than that number of racers, no matter what happens during the race, you're pretty much guaranteed to have a good time. And it's not obviously the best time is when you place first, you get pole position, stuff like that. But with the reverse grid, there's the greater chance that you will find yourself at the top of the grid, see what you can do when you get there. And a lot of racers, Evan, do take advantage of that. Say, okay, well, maybe I didn't do so well in qualifying. Maybe heat 1 or heat 2 is where I just need to maintain my position at the top of the standings. Although I will say it's probably going to be a little bit rough to dethronify, regicide Corentin Guinness and Harrison, who find themselves pretty solidly at the top of the table.
Yeah, they're both really quick, and I have a feeling this evening it is going to be those two battling amongst themselves, but reverse grids, anything can happen. Obviously, I don't want anyone to have any issues, but there certainly can be issues where someone might get involved in an incident, and they may see themselves slip down the order, which is not really what you want. We have one man into the 108s, that is none other than the Frenchman, Corentin. Yes, oh no, he's not. He's done the 902. My timing screen is lying to me again. He's done a 109.2, but is still a tenth of a second quicker than his teammate Kieran Harrison. The thing here is they're all just finding the limit around this circuit. Obviously, they did have an hour practice before this, but different fuel levels. They might have been doing full race-long practice, different fuel levels, and really just different sort of nervousness. I know that sounds weird, but any competitor who's not used to competing at the top does get nervous when, they're like, okay, there's only 10 people here, chance of a good result, and you don't want to make that mistake, or you don't want to slide off into the sand. But yeah, what you were saying, Reed, I think it is going to be very hard to dethrone the two SimRC boys at the top.
No, I like what you mentioned, Evan. You always have to race not only to your car, your competition, but also to your track. Glad that we can hop on board with Rafael Casacorta, who has his rig is what I'd like to call the Back to the Future DeLorean. It's very RGB. He also apparently a musician. I told him last time. I actually didn't tell him last time, but I'm going to say I told him last time that he has to play a guitar for us if he wins, and he agreed. He didn't agree, but I'm going to say that he agreed. I hope he will. That's a man of many talents. And actually, speaking of a man of many talents, talk about this guy, Guy Ligier, the guy whose car we're racing today. This guy, so cool. Not only does he have his own car, he's got his own racing team. He was a racing driver. I think he scored exactly 1 point in his F1 career. But he was also a fantastic rugby player, and apparently had a butchery shop at some point. So he's really just trying his hand at everything. So just as multi-talented is Rafael Casacorta, who apparently is also quite the UFO hunter, if I'm seeing his camera correctly.
Yes, but just quickly back on the session, we actually have a competitor for the two we thought were going to the top. Jackson Resende has done a 109.3. It's still a 10th shy of Corentin Guinness, and then 2 of Kieran Harrison. That's actually a car. that has some damage, I think. I'm not sure who that actually was, but there was a red Ligia parked up on the side, and it looked like they had a bit of damage. I think it could have been Villarreal. He still will have time to get back in the session, though, as we are only 10 minutes and 30 seconds into it out of 15 minutes, and it's a very short lap here at Willow Springs, so you can get another run in. But speaking of people with many talents, we are looking at Zampellini heading in towards one of the trickier corners on the circuit. I say one of the trickier corners, they're all really tricky, especially when you have my skill level, I suppose. But this is the sort of back part of the circuit. This is known as the sweeper, and then in towards turn number 9 onto the start-finish straight. There's only the 9 corners. I know it looks like a lot more, but there is only the 9 corners. He's heading down towards then Castrol corner, which is the turn number 1. It's one of few sponsored by actual companies, I suppose. I know that's creeped into Formula 1 and stuff as he runs a little bit wide. This next one then is the Rabbits here, turn number 2. They're very creative. I mean, they get better. Next up, turn 3, and then turn number 4, you have the Budweiser balcony. So, hopefully, they all behave through there. And remember, kids, no drinking and driving.
That's right. You can, in fact, drink water while you drive. And we do encourage you to do this. Everybody out there, hit a hydration check real fast. Thousands of years of human evolution, and we still can't drink enough water. So, hey, hi-bye, Kieran Harrison. We were hopping on board with this guy. He's currently good enough for provisional pole. You know, I don't want to rest on my laurels too much, but I really do want to see this time get shaved down a little bit. We'll keep an eye on the sectors as we close out our final 3 minutes of qualifiers, because you got to know that Quarantine Guinness, there it is. I called it. Anyway, you got to know that Quarantine Guinness might have been a little bit upset. Jackson Resenje kind of getting all up in that SimRC 1-2. So he's going to do a 108.7. Where was that speed this whole time? Oh my God, 108 by the Frenchman up in easy P1. I think, correct me if I'm wrong, Evan, but that might just be good enough to stick.
Yeah, I'd say so. We don't really have long enough in the session for Kieran Harrison to adjust to beating that. Oh. Nope, hold on. I think everything's okay. Apologies, my screen just froze. But
there you go.
Yeah, you got to prepare to do a lap like that, and I don't think Kieran Harrison has it in him. You were saying that Guinness would not be happy that it wasn't a 1-2. Guinness won't be happy that it wasn't a Guinness Harrison 1-2, because this is certainly a team sport, but Guinness is an individual who wants to win. You can see Kieran Harrison on your screen looking as fine as ever as he's rounding through the first couple of corners now. You can forget about photos, you can forget about anything, because he's got to push on this lap if he wants to take, well, the theoretical pole position. Obviously, he will start from the back.
Yeah, I mean, once we reverse grid, that's a whole nother story. Although I will say that reverse grid doesn't quite work the same when you have less than the maximum number of reverse griddable drivers. Because we're going to say, oh, you won, so now we're going to put you in the last place. But actually, last place isn't P15 anymore, it's P11. So that's not that bad. And as far as teams go, you can see on your screen right now the teams listed. A lot of teams represented in here. We have Norg Racing. I think we actually have 2 Norg cars, if I not sure. I think we've only seen one of them race so far, but either way, a lot of members of Texaco Racing by Tony Kanaan or KTF-BRB Esports. A little bit of the same situation there. Duckhawk Racing or DHR.
Harrison's beaten them.
Wait, what? Oh my God!
Kieran Harrison has just done a 108.6. And wow, forget about us saying he can't do it. He absolutely can. A fierce competitor is Kieran Harrison, and he's just proved why he's one of the best. And Guinness is in the pit lane. He's not going to beat it. We only have 10 seconds left in qualifying. I remember the clock hits 15. It's not like Cinderella where you get a second chance after the hour. It is done. And we see Gerardo Ramos improve to 8th spot. But Kieran Harrison, what a monster.
Yeah, no, it's not like you're wrong, Evan. Everything you said was right. Usually usually you have to set up for laps like that because you have to find yourself coming up on the straight, on the finish line when you're ready to start your lap. You have to have clean air in front of you. You have to have all the situations. The stars have to align, and I guess they did. SimRC once again locking out the front row, but not as you might have expected it. Kieran Harrison and his teammate Quarantine Ganez lock out that 1-2. Now, Jackson Resenge and Fabio Zamperlini coming through for Brazil and representing Tony Kanan Esports, Brazil, and Duck Hawk Racing, respectively. Dorian, come on, is in
I did
P5.
see a comment.
What's your comment?
One of our fellow commentators, Brad, said seemingly it's Lou at the start. So Louisvois.
Okay, look,
we're gonna get absolutely hung, drawn, and quartered by
slated. Yeah. No, I mean, this is just creating more TikTok content for Dorian. So he did help us out a little bit in the Discord, and I was very appreciative of him. However, just telling me that it's pronounced Lelievre. There we go, Lelievre. Yeah, I'm doing my best, guys. It only gets better the more I practice, and you guys get a front row seat to that. You didn't get a front row seat to the practice session that these guys had earlier, but they're through with that. They're through with qualifiers, and now it's time to start our first heat of the night. This is what our grid is going to look like for today. Lining up on the first row is Rafael Casacurta with Diego Villarreal. Row 2 is Gerardo Ramos and Lucas Dornella. Row 3, Sandro Boas and Caio Gaspar with Fabio Zamperlini and Dorian. Lining up on row 4, Quarantine, Jackson, and Kieran are bringing up the rear, but honestly, this is just going to be so much fun to watch. I cannot wait to see what Ligiers look like on a track they've never raced on before in real life. So we're putting it together in the sim and showing you what it might look like should this ever transpire. It's going to be a great race, not only because I don't think this track was ever really the track and car were never designed with each other in mind. And so anytime you mix things up like this, you never know what you're going to get when you walk through that door. So we're going to do a rolling start here, have a trip around their track, and then get ready to go with lights out for our first of 2 heats for AMX 0 here tonight.
Yeah, you say that the track wasn't designed with these cars in mind. That's certainly true. So it'll be very interesting to see where these guys attempt for overtakes, because obviously the quickest guys are starting at the back, so they're going to have to work their way through. We're on board with Kieran Harrison, who is starting in last place, as focused as ever. He's got work to do if he wants to take the grand prize and win this Heat 1, because he has to get past his SimRC teammate, who is just as quick as him around for this circuit. But this is intriguing, this is exciting, and this is going to be a very interesting race.
Yeah, Evan, I don't know where you expected to find yourself in your motorsports commentary career, but if you had written down, I really just want to commentate a Ligiers on Willow. Who would ever have predicted this? And actually, this is one of the most fun parts of AMX Global League Season 3 is that, and Season 2 also, previous seasons as well, is that we do have these kind of unique car track combos that are really mixing it up. And obviously, you've got the really iconic, Formula cars on Spa-Francorchamps. Wow, the 5 millionth time that race has been run. But then we're going to mix things up like this and really stress test our drivers, say, hey, how versatile are you? How good are you at driving a whole host of different cars, a lot of different tracks all around the world, and then different combinations of those two together. So the pace car is heading out of here, Evan, and that means that we are going... Hold on, I have to speak as fast as these guys are driving. And that means that... Anyway, they're taking it slow as the pace car zooms off into the distance, trying to claim that first prize for itself. And we are about to get racing here, Evan, as we start to get a look at what racing does look like here on Willow Springs in the Ligiers.
Yep, it is Rafael Casacurta who starts on the front row alongside Gerardo Ramos. They accelerate, heading through turn number 9, and we go racing here in Willow Springs. It's a good start from our leader. Ramos instantly tucking into the slipstream, wants to get as much straight line speed down towards turn 1 as he can. They're 2 and 3 abreast in the background. Quarantine Ganez and Harrison both looking to make moves immediately. We have a car actually in the pit lane. That is Villarreal, who's not made the race start. Round the first corner, they're all safely through for the time being, but this is where it gets tricky. It tightens up a little bit through this right-hander. Casa Curtis still with a good start. The Brazilian has got away quite well here, but he does have to defend from the speedy Spaniard behind him. In towards turn number 3 then. Is there going to be a late lunge here from Dorian? No, just sits behind for the time being. Good start though, all really smooth.
Really smooth indeed, coming through Budweiser balcony, and this is a dangerous part of the track, probably not where you're going to overtake, and in truth, where? I don't know. Whoa, going wide, now trying for the rejoin, has to do it safely, slides alongside, and it does look like everybody keeping their cars pointed forward, as you do, and we're starting to kind of even things out here a little bit, Evan, but man, look at how fast these cars are together on this track. It's going to be a treat to watch. The Ligiers, piloted, of course, by some of the fastest drivers out there, none other than Quarantine Ganez and Kieran Harrison, Jackson Asenje. Those three, definitely the drivers to watch as they hit the midfield, plus 3, 4, 5, respectively, as they try to climb their way up. Zamperlini's doing some climbing as well, as he lost a place, now regains it. Unfortunately, no, though, we did have a little bit of a rough start from Lucas Dornella, who finds himself going front to back all the way down in 10th.
Yeah, he was very lucky as well. The car slid across the sand, and he was just lucky that it was the asphalt that he landed back on. You can see Harrison side by side here with Quarantine Ganez. This is the battle we wanted. Ganez now on the inside of Budweiser balcony. Harrison has to run it around the long way, but he's all good. He's done that successfully. Jackson Asenje in front as well. These three are like sharks just waiting to pounce on those in front, because Ramos and Gaspar look like they're about to go fighting, and then the, in quotation marks, quicker drivers behind are going to try and pounce. But that's a beautiful livery for Gaspar, I must say. The black and white, very similar to the AlphaTauri we saw in Formula 1 this weekend. But in towards turn number 9, not really an overtaking opportunity. This corner, it's just important to get a good exit for the main straight, because turn number 1 is where you want to make most of your moves. You can see the battle for 5th in your picture. That is between Jackson Asenje, Kieran Harrison and Quarantine Ganez. We're on board with Gerardo Ramos. It looked like he was going to have actually a bit of a shaky lap, but he didn't, as we see Ganez now up the inside of Kieran Harrison, heading in towards turn number 2. Has he got the job done around the outside? He has. The Frenchman's ahead.
Wow, yeah, indeed he has. And in fact, both Frenchmen doing quite well. Down there, or up there in 4th, but Resenje, he spun out in the back. He's out.
Oh, he's beached it.
Oh, he's stuck too. No.
Oh, that's awful unlucky for Resenje, but that's the real challenge of Willow Springs. All right, it's an interesting circuit, but if you go off it, it's not as interesting, more frightening, and that's what happens. You can beat your car, you can't get the rears out of a divot, and you're out of the race, unfortunately, which is really, really unlucky for one of our high flyers in AMX 0 here. Kieran Harrison is battling with Zamperlini, and Zamperlini has lost the spot. But Casacurta under pressure for the first real time here in this race. The race leader under pressure from the Spaniard of Gerardo Ramos. Ramos usually has a few fellow Spaniards on the grid with him, but he is a lone soldier here this evening, but doing quite well. At 4:14, he is in 2nd place, just ahead of Gaspar and Dorian, whose surname neither of us can pronounce.
Yeah, actually, if our production were capable of doing absolutely everything, I would just ask them to put the drivers' first names up there and then abbreviate the last name. That would be much more helpful for today. Either way, it is actually quite a race as we watched Resenje kind of spin out there in the back. I didn't see if that was 100% his problem, but I can imagine that it might be difficult to come around that curve, especially in a car that's not necessarily designed to take these things out there. Let's take a look at the timing tower to see what's going on up front. Casacurta is in the lead, having inherited that from the reverse grid. But as you look at who's coming up behind, Ramos and Gaspar are both cutting tenths out of each of their sectors. And so you might imagine it's going to be even more difficult as we find Caio Gaspar climbing one more spot over Gerardo Ramos into that second place, but it's still absolutely neck and neck. Could be absolutely anybody's podium, and we still have yet to see those big winners from qualifier in Karen Harrison and Corentin Guinness climb up through the midfield, because it is just a little bit difficult out there. Maybe Raphael can hang on here, but he's going to have to do it for another 5 plus 5 plus 9 laps, and that's going to be very, very difficult to do against, like we said earlier, some incredible racers coming through. And I'm glad we can hop on board with Caio Gaspar to see what it looks like as he is sharking around trying to overtake for the lead.
Well, there goes Ramos through, and Gaspar's actually run onto the gravel. We saw that from the picture-in-picture cam footage. And Casacurta has lost the lead. Ramos is now side-by-side with the Brazilian. Casacurta has the inside line quite crucially. Casacurta actually had the slowest last lap of the entire field, which bunched them all together. And now Casacurta's gone round. Oh, he's lost it through the final corner from hero to absolute zero. He's gone round, and that is awful unlucky. Now Ramos has the job to try and defend from this race lead. It was collapse of the race across the board because they're all so bunched up together. It was almost like Noah's Ark in the middle sector for a moment. They were 2x2 through there for a multiple amount of corners. But it is Ramos who leads from Dorian, and then it is Corentin Guinness and Kieran Harrison who are slowly but surely creeping up into this podium placings.
Wow, oh man, you really cannot predict how things are going to go after defending masterfully for about 5 laps. Rafael Casacurta finds himself spinning all the way down to 9th, ahead of only Diego Villarreal, who honestly might even catch him, given that there might be some damage going on there. In the midfield, we have Caio Gaspar, who once again was also contesting for some of those top spots. Struggling past, trying to climb up once again. Let's see what this spin looks like. It looks like either he hit a drain cover or he had a little bit of net code there towards the side. Didn't catch exactly what that might have been, but either way, that is how he took his unceremonious trip back down to 9th.
Oh, there's a dive up the inside here. Oh, that is Guinness, who's trying to get past his fellow Frenchie in front of him. As look how close Corentin can get through these curves. He is such a quick driver, such a big risk taker as well, we've seen in previous races. But if you're always the quick in qualifying, you're always going to have to cut through the field here in AMX Global. It's one of the fantastic things that they provide us. The gap is just not opening enough for him. Dorian is parking the car in the right places, and that is allowing him to stay in front. Of course, it's not the widest track here in Willow Springs, and remember, you can't use the runoff to your advantage and, cheekily cut a corner here or there, because if you do cut a corner, you may as well put down your picnic blanket, put up a nice shade umbrella, because you're staying there. You're not getting out of the sand. So Corentin knows that, as I believe we're running on board with his teammate, Kieran Harrison, as there's some appreciative comments for your drain cover joke coming up on the screen for the live chat there, Reed.
Look, I'm just a reference machine here. I've got every motorsports trope downloaded into my brain, and all I do, you think you're trying to commentate on the race. I'm just looking for opportunities to meme as much as possible. We are not the same here, Evan. Although truly, everybody's got their own win condition, right? For our drivers, they, in theory, would like to finish first, right? That's what you tell yourself when you go into a race. My goal is to finish first. However, everyone has their own definition of success, Evan, and maybe it's beating your rival, maybe it's achieving a personal best time. For me, it's memes. So we all have our own win condition here today.
Oh, I do love me. I love memes as well. I'm just not funny, unfortunately. That's the real problem with that one. But memes are fantastic. What's also fantastic for a certain Spaniard in the form of Gerardo Ramos is he's absolutely gone at the front of this race. 1.3 second lead. He is performing excellently here. I know in previous weeks we've seen a few shaky performances here and there from the Spaniard, but this is really good, and he's leading by 1.3 seconds. I do think Dorian, however, is doing him huge favours by backing up the two SimRC boys, because it's allowing Gerardo to just get in front a little bit. Although saying that, Dorian actually matched the same lap as Guinness, so it's not like he's that much slower than the two drivers behind him, but he's just got to be careful. There's one little mistake and they're both sweeping through.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that. It's kind of rare that we get a chance to see such competitive racing up here at the top, but especially from newcomers like the Livre. I'm trying. Usually it's Gael Valero and Corentin Guinness who are the Frenchmen battling back and forth. But now Corentin Guinness going forward, and he gets him on the inside. And I think we all kind of knew it might be inevitable. But as Guinness zooms past, you have to ask yourself, is 5 laps enough for him to cut down a 2-second lead and take the fight to Gerardo Ramos, who is booster rocketing off into the distance?
And quite crucially here, Harrison, if he wants to keep fighting with Guinness, he's got to get past Dorian here pretty quickly as well. He's not as close as Corentin was coming down towards turn number 9, but he's got a good run out of turn number 1. Here comes Kieran Harrison trying it up the inside. Gap just closes. You don't want to drive into a gap that is closing because, well, you'll be in the sand, and as will the guy in front. And the guy in front will be throwing punches at him for going for such a silly move. But Kieran Harrison just threading the needle through the corners, and look at the front of the car. That's a huge wobble for Harrison. Big mistake heading through there, and now he's falling back. Has managed to stay in 4th position, but that could be a potential race win, potential podium chance gone. And we saw him just use a little bit too much of the curb heading through turn number 3, and he was almost into the Budweiser balcony at turn number 4.
That was, I don't want to say a nice save. That was like a B- save. I don't know. Either way, as long as they're still racing, then mission accomplished. But at the same time, wow, it could have been so much worse to watch there. Gerardo Ramos still leads by 1.8 seconds, so safety net is there. But as we hop on board with Kieran Harrison, he is looking to close that gap absolutely. Things are kind of spreading out a little bit. Maybe Caio Gaspar looking for an overtake into the top 5. Could be what we see in the next few laps. But we're closing in on the end. And that means that there is a limited amount of time left to our racers, specifically for Kieran Harrison. He has got to make that overtake happen. And honestly, Dorian is being a real stick in the mud here, kind of, I guess, inhibiting maybe the inevitable storyline that people might have expected. Those people who are watching AMX every single day, like I know all of our viewers are, and know how exactly to expect which drivers will do what. I know you guys are out there in the ether somewhere. But either way, Kieran is looking for it as he finds himself coming through one of the only limited overtaking opportunities that you have here. There really is not that much opportunity to climb your way up the field. And so, as it approaches, Harrison's got just limited, 2-3 more laps?
Yeah, he's got to make moves quickly, and in terms of Guinness, he's just gone into the 108s on race pace. He had the fastest lap of the race. It was instantly beaten by Kieran Harrison. So Harrison beating laps we think are unbeatable seems to be a little bit of a common theme here today, but he is on the back of Dorian. There's a Spaniard and 2 Frenchies on a podium. Kieran Harrison is looking to make it 3 nations up there, but he's got work to do because we saw when he got close before, he made the mistake and he didn't force Dorian into the mistake. Obviously, he's going to want to force the car in front to run wide, make himself run wide, so got to be careful of that. But he does have better pace. He does have better pace than the Frenchman, and he's now looking for this one. Maybe a dive in towards the sweeper at turn number 8. He's going for the inside line, now pulls alongside here of Dorian. Kieran Harrison now on the inside for both of these corners. He'll have the inside line for turn number 9. It's a double right-hander. He is ahead for the time being, and now he is fully ahead in towards the braking zone. It was tough work, but Kieran Harrison has got it done, and Dorian's just run wide onto the sand, so that could maybe jeopardise a re-overtaking attempt in towards turn number 1. But in terms of our race leading battle, Gerardo Ramos lapping sort of consistently in the 109s, the 109 1s, 109 2s. Guinness is slowly catching him, but I'm not sure that's enough, because it's one thing to catch the driver in front, it's a totally other thing to pass.
That's right, Evan. And now you can see there, Guinness, just tenths or hundredths rather slower a lap. Doesn't matter how much it is. If you're not making up time, you'll never make up the time. There we go. That's my wisdom, my Tumblr quote for the day. Ramos, it looks like he has got this one in the bag, has got it all wrapped up in the lead. And for Quarantine Ganez, he did make a valiant effort. So did his SimRC teammate. They made +8 runs on the day, and so nothing to be sad about. It's just that, wow, Gerardo Ramos really took that reverse grid and made the most of it. The previous pole leader, Rafael Casacorta, who led for 5-6 laps, had the same opportunity and couldn't keep it pointed forward, and that's why he finds himself back there in 9th. It's really going to be a struggle. And in truth, we actually might see the best part of this race in the next one, in Heat 2, as Jackson Hesenje finds himself flipped back up to the first position. So there's a lot to play for here today, but in Heat number 1, this seems to be the way that it just might finish, unless something happens towards the back of towards the midfield. It looks like we've finally gotten a good look at not only where it might finish, but also at Gerardo Ramos, who is popping up on the bottom left-hand corner of your screen in his Ligier livery, number 69, looking nice in the front row.
Yeah, he had to wait to take the race lead from Casacorta, forced him into mistake, and then Casacorta went round. But since Ramos took that race lead, he took it, grabbed it, and ran with it, went up to the top, extended the gap, and now has just managed it to the two SimRC boys, celebrating early. Ramos knows this was a well-earned 6th Heat win of the season. A couple of fist pumps across the line as Gerardo Ramos is your Heat 1 winner here in Willow Springs. Apologies. Ganez comes home 2nd, followed by Kieran Harrison in 3rd, and then it is Mr. Unpronounceable, Dorian, who takes 4th, and Zamperlini takes an impressive 5th. Hats off to Zamperlini, a good result for the top of many Brazilians here in the first heat.
Yeah, very well said, Evan. Good way to close things out for Gerardo Ramos, who brings it home, and I'm glad we got a chance to check out his camera, because that is the signs of elation that every racer needs. Honestly, it just becomes kind of an addiction at some point when you find yourself fighting so hard through the pack into the front. You get the lead, you hold on to it, you drive across the finish line for the last time, hit that checkered flag. That is one hell of a drug, and so nice to see Gerardo Ramos, a pretty big fan of those in general, finding himself getting a nice dopamine hit for first place in Heat number 1. However, boy, it's not going to last for long. This is the way it looks for now, but we will reverse grid this for Heat number 2. So for the time being, it is Gerardo Ramos, Quarantine Ganez, and Kieran Harrison to make up your podium for Heat number 1, with Jackson Desenje, Diego Villarreal, and Rafael Casacorta towards the back. Struggled in Heat number 1. Now we're going to flip them right back up to the top as the Ligiers get lined up on the grid for Heat number 2.
Yet we'll have the installation lap again, but Jackson Resende has a big opportunity here. Obviously, race 1 didn't go that well for him. He beached it in the sand. But here in Heat 2, he's got a real opportunity because he starts at the front, and we found who's the quickest. Ramos, Ganez, Harrison, we've obviously been speaking lots about them. They're towards the back, so there's big opportunities here for the Canaan Esports driver of pole position. And Ramos, of course, a privateer. We always love to see privateers win races because it's a real underdog story.
Okay, well, Evan, I hate to do this to you, but I believe, if I am not mistaken, that I think he might actually be on a team. See, here's one of the problems. Sometimes our racers don't actually enter in all of their data when it comes to their like racing information, and so sometimes it looks a little bit deceptive.
In my defense, it said privateer in the race results a couple of moments ago. I'm not faulting you.
No, and actually, it does say that for quite a few of our racers too. So you can never trust your eyes in sim racing. And actually, Evan, if this was a real simulator, it would have mirages from the heat coming up off of the desert, the road. You might hallucinate a driver in front of... I'm just making things up. When I asked him earlier on this season, he said that, or Gerardo said that he was racing for R70 team. Now, his number is 69, and he's on team 70. So I don't know if there's some numerology going on there, but whoever R70 team is, he's on there, and he's representing them quite well with a win in heat number 1, and will have his work cut out for him here in heat number 2, as he has quite a few positions to make up from the back of the grid.
And he's going for heat win 7 of the season here as well, and also it does say R70 on the timing screen, so probably should have read that one first. But Gerardo Ramos performing well. Now a lot of work here to do in this one. But in terms of your front row, it is of course Jackson Vicente and Diego Villarreal who are first and second. That's going to be an interesting battle heading down to the first corner. The Porsche pace car should peel off pretty soon, hopefully. And we will get racing. But so far, this is a car and track combo that I personally think has delivered.
Oh, yeah, no, absolutely. And it's not really just the cars and the tracks that deliver, but the drivers who really make the action as exciting as it has been here today. So really big shout out to them for cooking up a great race for us today. And this is only AMX 0. We've got AMX 10 coming up later on, so you do not want to miss it as the action just gets hotter and hotter, although we are in the desert, so in theory, it may be technically hot enough right here. Ooh, I don't know who's driving the safety car, but a little bit of a veer off to the side as we get ready to go racing, and I love the hesitation. I want to start the race, so I'm going to do that as slowly as possible. There we go. All right, here we go. Finally, the pedal put to the metal as we get racing for lap number 1 of AMX 0, race 27, heat 2, the final time that we are out on to Willow Springs in our Ligier Sport today. It's an all-Brazil top 6 with one French exception as Kieran Harrison and Corentin Guinness try to climb their way up from the back of the field once again. It's a great start for pretty much all of our racers there, although I will say Dorian has made up 4 spots instantly, so he must have really hit the sweet spot on the timing on the launch there. Dornella, no! He finds himself spinning all the way back to the bottom, and there it is! Oh my god! It's a little bit of airtime caught there by Rafael Casacorta, who finds himself getting a scenic trip over the countryside there as he heads all the way back to the back of the grid. Destruction in the wake of all of that means that Casacorta and Dornella are out of there.
Yeah, Casacorta, it's not a track to remember for him, unfortunately. But what a start from his fellow Brazilian, Resende, who is in the lead by 2.6 seconds over Kaya Gaspar. That is phenomenal stuff. There's another car gone wide there. I'm not actually sure which one that is. That is it Zampert? No, I think it is Villas-Boas who's gone wide there. But Dorian, fast starter, 5 positions on the opening lap. He's not going to be complaining about that. Of course, did manage to finish pretty high up, as you can see. That is Boas who runs wide, but yeah, Dorian managed to finish high up in the first race. If he can get past Gaspar and try chase down the race leader, maybe a race win for the Frenchman.
I mean, maybe. Who knows? The number one problem with racing predictions is that you put your prediction in the hands of somebody who could just decide to let the, here's your French for the day, the Pierre de Vide, the call of the void, call to them a little bit too much, twist the wheel to the right. You ever done that while you're racing, while you're driving, Evan? Or you're driving along and you just think to yourself, well, what would happen if? That's why I don't like to make racing predictions, because you never know who's going to listen a little bit too much to the voices of Znich or whatever in the side of their heads here. So given that they have their best interests in mind, it does seem like Dorian is doing quite a bit here. He's about to overtake Kyle Gaspar, not the result I had on my 2023 AMX bingo card, but he was going for it there for just a second. He's on an absolute tear and trying to claim that second place spot there from Kyle Gaspar, who has locked that down in so many races this season. This is quite the race we have on our hands.
Yeah, this is phenomenal, and Gaspar and Dorian are actually the only two drivers lapping within the 110s on the last lap round. Dorian, of course, was 3/10 quicker and did a 110 too, and we saw that because he is putting the car in front under a huge amount of pressure, and the gap to the leader of Jackson Mersenje is being cut down. It's now 2.3, was 2.5 at this point on the last endeavour around this Willow Springs International circuit. You can just see Gaspar running wide, trying maybe something a little bit creative, something a bit unconventional to try and get the run down towards turn number 1. He weaves his way in towards the Castrol corner, and it looks like whatever he did, unconventional, it worked, because he's kept second place here and was actually a tenth of a second quicker than Dorian on that last lap round. But your fast lap of the race goes to the other inevitable Frenchman. It is Quentin Guenez, who sets a 110 flat. He is chasing his SimRC teammate Kieran Harrison.
Yeah, that's right. Kieran Harrison got a little bit of a better start than Guenez and has really just lapped it up literally. Ever since then, he has really locked down that number 4 spot, and it's going to be rough to make it past there. And so for all intents and purposes, we got about 3 different classes of races here. We got Zenje and Gaspar and Dorian in the top 3, then Harrison, Guenez, Zamperlini doing some racing there with Sandro de las Boas in 7th, who might actually be looking to make up a top 5 spot of his own. He was really moving on Fabio Zamperlini back there, and that's why we're watching the battle for 6th in the picture-in-picture. Whoa, a little bit of an off track there, and man, you have to be so careful in the shrubbery off to the side. That'll absolutely yank your wheel out and end your race unceremoniously, as Kieran Harrison sets a new fastest lap record, 1:09.483. So wow, really a lot of action here heating up as we head through lap number 5, about a third of the way through our final heat of AMX 0 Race 27, our time here on Willow Springs. And I love that we've brought the Ligiers here. We've gotten some airtime, we've gotten some intense battles down to the wire in lap, or in heat number 1, and now we're kind of combining everything here in heat number 2 as we continue to see that battle for 6th, which has turned out to be a little bit more of a leisurely Sunday stroll for 6th, as the gaps widen a little bit here in the midfield.
Yeah, the Ligiers have provided here today, although hopefully we haven't spoken too early, because the gaps are starting to widen a little bit here in this second heat. Senjay is still losing a little bit of time, but it's nothing major. It's nothing really for him to worry about. It could just be natural slipstream effects that Dorian and Kyle are getting, but we have to wait and see, as that's actually Diego Villarreal who has gone off. He's tried to make the pit lane, and he's completely smashed into the pit wall, and now there is a front bumper on the middle of the main straight, and that's unfortunately going to be the end of heat 2 around Willow Springs for Diego.
Diego, wow, no, that was rough. Yeah, he might have been headed on over there, but definitely misjudged the distance there, straight into the wall. I don't know if his dog unplugged his cord, the sharks are chewing on the cables, or what's going on there, but Diego Villarreal is out of there. Will not be a good heat 2 for him. However, if he does manage to rejoin, he might actually still be able to keep it on the track long enough to maybe get a fastest lap, or stick in there. He'll still finish P11, which is good enough for money. That's in the place. It's in the prize money. We do pay out to the top 15, so there it is. So, well, didn't have that on my bingo card either, Evan.
No, maybe that was those inside voices you were speaking about earlier that says just turn left. Here is the picture-in-picture as Villarreal misses the pit lane. Let's have another look at this one. Yeah, that he is trying to make the pits there, or so I think, and he's just completely misjudged it. It's just a complete lack of misjudgment for Villarreal, and unfortunately that's one he's going to be thinking about when he goes to sleep later. He's going to be like, damn, I hit the pit wall. Oh, big slide for Dorian, heading in towards Budweiser balcony. Now he has Kieran Harrison right in his tail again, just like he had in the previous heat. We're about halfway through this one. It was later in the heat that Harrison caught up to Dorian, but here he goes. It's going to be almost identical to the move he did the first time round, heading in towards turn number 8 down past Wing's leg, and he has got the job done. Now Corentin Guinness going to try follow through, going to get the slipstream effects of his fellow simracing teammate in front now on the inside, heading in towards turn number 9. That's Harrison and Guinness through. Excellent racing from all three, however. Dorian probably didn't have to leave as much space as he did for Kieran Harrison, but he did. He's kept it clean, he's kept it fair, and fair play to all three of them.
You know, that is what great racing looks like, both from the movers, Harrison and Guinness, as they go up into third and fourth, and to Dorian, who manages to race fairly, but also very close, keeping it exciting and ultimately keeping himself in the race, in the running, locking down that top 5 finish for himself. And he's still within 3/10, and there's about half the race left to go. So anything could happen. He absolutely could make that time back up, but it does appear as if he is going a few tenths slower per lap or per sector. So I don't know if that's in his racing future. We'll see what he is able to get done back there. But now, after we have freed the SimRC duo of Harrison and Guinness, they are free to go on the attack to Kyle Gaspar and Jackson Hasenje. Hasenje is 2 seconds in the lead, so he is way out there. But for Kyle Gaspar, nothing is guaranteed. Harrison now, going wide there. That is not where you want to go, and that might just be the opportunity that gives Kieran Harrison the lead.
Yeah, Harrison now on the outside, still got to work for this one because Gaspar does still have his car on the inside, so racing room must be left. That's a car's width, but no, Harrison has got the job done. Guinness might have a little bit of a lunge here in towards turn number 3 because he does not want to get stuck behind the Brazilian in towards this middle sector. But here they go. Oh, it's wide from Gaspar once again, and Guinness doesn't know what way to go, inside or out. He's opted for neither and has to sit behind because if you want to finish first you have to finish. And Gaspar thought of, or not Gaspar, apologies, Guinness thought of that and was like, right, I'm not going to risk everything here with a stupid move. Just sits behind, just keeps his car in one piece, and he'll get him here on the run towards turn number 9, as it just seems like Gaspar is just a little bit unsettled. Has made a few little hiccups across this lap. Here comes Corentin Guinness looking for the inside now, just almost identical to what he's done on Dorian. Inside through 8 and then gets the job done in towards 9.
I love this angle. Look at the speeds in the desert. I love the little shrubs that give us sort of that feeling of who is faster where. Wide once again here. Kyle Gaspar is starting to struggle a little bit up in the top of the field, and that actually might even offer the opportunity to Dorian to climb back up into that 4th place spot that he gave up earlier on to Kieran Harrison. Now Harrison is in P2, and he is absolutely chomping the distance out of that 2-second lead that Hasenje had up in P1. So lots to race for here as we close into the final 5 laps. And as Dorian climbs through, we have Zamperlini right behind him, keeping it within 3/10. And Kyle Gaspar struggling on some of these corners, going uncharacteristically wide. So that could really be a huge liability as we close out the final laps of Heat 2 in AMX 0.
Yeah, and Gaspar was running well in the early phases of this race, so I'm not sure where this downfall has started from, but here comes Dorian looking for this one. Kyle's defending to the inside, maybe feels like he stands more of a chance in this battle. Almost both of them running on the sand to try and get this position. They want the inside line, and there's contact between the two. All 3 cars gone. Big collision in towards the final corner of turn number 9, and Zamperlini just got completely caught out, decided he's going to take a wide berth, and has ended up in the pit lane, unfortunately. But that is 3 cars out of contention for the high placings in this one. Sandro Villas-Boas and Gerardo Ramos are both going to be absolutely dancing in the rain because they've just got 3 positions absolutely handed to them. Oh, as we see Dorian go wide again, I think there's big damage on that car.
Yeah, probably going to be pretty difficult to keep that one pointed forward. He is doing a commendable job at it, but ooh, for Dorian, man, it could have been so much better. Yeah, that's why you have to be so careful when you are doing this kind of close racing. When you're less than a tenth behind somebody, you're really asking for disaster if you stay in the pocket for too long. One tap on the brakes and it's over. We got a chance to see what that looks like as, yeah, Dorian's going to head out to the pits. And honestly, I think Zamperlini, who's sort of an innocent bystander in that fracas, probably wishes the pit lane hadn't been there. He was trying to rejoin onto the track, but the pit lane was right there, so he rejoined into that and finds himself out of the race for now. Man, really disappointing heartbreak there towards the end of our session. 3 more laps to go, 2.5 here, and we're looking at the difference between Hasenje and Harrison. Harrison cutting out 0.4, 0.3 per sector. What in the world? There was a 2-second lead for Hasenje there, Evan.
Yeah, this is the wonders of SimRC. They're both just exceptionally quick. Yeah, you were saying about Zamperlini. He was really an innocent bystander, but I think he just went into that corner way too quickly. He went into it like you usually would and wasn't taking into account that the two in front were banging wheels pretty much, and they were going to be much slower, and unfortunately was an innocent bystander in that one. Drove straight into the scene of the accident, as we see. A bit of movement for 4th place as well, but here comes Kieran Harrison. Was quickest in qualifying, didn't manage to take the win in Heat 1, wants the win here in Heat 2, but he's got to get past Jackson Hasenje, who's not going to give up a win as easy as others may. He is a fierce fighter and will scrap this one out. Harrison, though, going to use the slipstream he gets off of turn number 9. The inside line is the optimum one. Will Hasenje defend it? He will not. It'll be Kieran Harrison on the inside. British driver versus the Brazilian. SimRC man on the inside, and he's got the job done. Great move from Kieran Harrison, but Hasenje's going to fight this one back because Harrison ends up on the sand. Hasenje now really wide in the Texaco Tony Canaan-Legia, and he has run wide heading through turn 2. Will now be under pressure from Corentin Guinness. Guinness wants to challenge Harrison in these last 2 laps. Of course, we're coming up to the white flag pretty quickly, folks. He's going to have to get the job done ASAP pretty much.
Yeah, it's going to be a huge defensive drive needed here for Jackson Hasenje as he finds himself sandwiched in between the yellow liveries of SimRC with Corentin Guinness absolutely breathing down his neck right behind. Less than a tenth at some points, and this is a look at the Dorian and Gaspar crash in the back, sending them way out into the desert, collecting tumbleweeds for the rest of this race before they collect dust in the pit lane immediately afterwards. There it is. Guinness on the inside, swoops around and does it good for P2. The SimRC boys have done what they could not do in heat number 1 when I think it was Gerardo Ramos just held them off and managed to take P1. Now in Heat 2, Kieran Harrison and Corentin Guinness, the Bash Bros have worked their way up to the 1st and 2nd spots and have done so in dominant and exciting style, really riveting us all race long. And now as they continue to build gaps and gaps in between themselves, Hasenje has to settle for P3, and this might just be a look at the way that the race finishes as we go through some of the final corners of our time here on Willow Springs.
Yeah, Harrison actually catching some lapped traffic here, so he's going to have to be careful. He probably doesn't really want to meet this and just wants to manage the gap for the final couple of corners. He is hyper-focused. You can see it on the driver cameras. Let's see, heading in towards the final couple of corners, Harrison, yeah, there's going to be no problems here. He's going to head through turn number 9 and manage this one perfectly. He surprising to us, took pole position in qualifying, but unsurprisingly, Kieran Harrison is the winner here in Heat 2. He takes it ahead of his SimRC teammate. That's going to be a little bit of inter-team banter. And he actually took the fastest lap as well, so an extra $1 for that one, if I am correct. And we can see Guinness spinning in celebration behind. He's still happy.
And as the music goes up and the lights go down, it is going to be a 1-2 for SimRC. Didn't have to be in that order, and in truth, they've been battling it out all race long, and qualifiers even still with Kieran Harrison just barely edging out Corentin Guinness there, and he does so once again there in the final moments of heat number 2. Close out our time on Willow Springs and the Ligiers. These cars, tracks, drivers, everything have really delivered. And even though we did have a little bit of tragedy there in the backfield towards the end of both heats 1 and 2, we did get a lot to watch, a lot of great racing up at the front. We watched Diego Villarreal finish his 15th extra lap there in the backfield. Once he crosses the finish line, we will be able to get out of here, because this is a nice highlight, a nice way to relive our final moments on what has really been an excellent car and track to watch here in race 27, AMX 0. It only took us 27 races to get here, but I'm glad we did.
Yeah, it was a really interesting one. It was something different, and that's thankfully what this season provides. Season 3 has been fantastic for weird track combos, but this has been really fun. Harrison takes the win, and it was Ganez and Recenche running at the podium. Then Ramos, Boas, Gaspar, Casacurt, Zamperlini, Donella, Villarreal, and then Dorian, unfortunately, 11th position.
Hey, 11th position, last but not least, because you are still going to be in the money. We pay out to the top 15, so 11 drivers means you're not doing that bad. If there had been, say, 30 drivers, that's like middle of the pack. Either way, you have to get what you can. And I think a lot of our drivers did really maximize, specifically Gerardo Ramos getting that really strong P1 finish in heat number 1. Very impressive drive there. Maybe we'll get a chance to talk to him a little bit later on. Either way, I don't know. I really thought that combo delivered. I was not sure what to expect from Ligier's on Willow Springs, Evan, but I don't know what you think, but I thought it really delivered.
Yeah, I enjoyed that. Thought it was really good. Thought there was some very exciting moments in that one. I thought Heat 1 was better than Heat 2 in terms of pure racing action, but in terms of drama, Heat 2 did provide as well. But yeah, it was different, but it was a pleasant different. You can't have everything, like you said earlier, your Formula cars around Spa. We got to have these different things. And it was a real challenge to the drivers. We saw Ramos celebrating at the end. We saw Harrison laughing and joking at the end of his race as well. I think the drivers did enjoy that one. And I certainly did as well.
I did too, but the problem is that my time on this earth is limited, Evan. I'm beginning to fade out into the ether. And so before I go, I have one final wish, and that is that everybody follow us on Twitter and Instagram and YouTube and Twitch and wherever you are out there. We love to hear from you guys, and we appreciate your support. So thanks for coming out and watching us here today. And if you want to get more involved at AMX, you can join the AMX Global Discord server, and you can also join the race if you feel so led. AMXrace.com is the place where you can find out more information. We got announcements. You can find all of our links and everything there. You can also sign up to race in any of the 17 races we have left. It's not a lot of time left. We're going until December 17th, which is rapidly approaching. So there's two things you have to do. Think about what you want for Christmas and join us here in AMX Global League Season 3 while you can. And so while you guys are getting that done, we're going to take a quick break while I get right with the Lord, and we'll be back in just about 20 minutes with AMX 10 coming up next.
You gotta feel it. Take it all the way. You gotta feel it.
To save our home, we must travel through the gateway to find new energy.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to AMX Global League Season 3. We are coming to you with our second race of the night. It's AMX 10, and that means that we are heading over to Watkins Glen to race Dallara P217s in what is maybe a little bit more of an apropos combo than our AMX 0 race from earlier. It's going to be an even better day. We already finished a really, really exciting race on Watkins Glen, running Ligiers around there. And if you missed that, you can rewind things or just catch the YouTube video a little bit later on. Either way, I'm back with my good friend Evan to join us for our AMX 10 race of the night. The level of competition, the competitors should be a little bit leveled up, and we're not out in the desert anymore, Evan.
No, we're somewhat close to civilization here at Watkins Glen for the AMX 10 race, but it still should be hopefully equally as exciting. It is an old American circuit, just like Willow Springs, but we should have some more, I suppose, maybe curbs compared to Willow Springs. But we've got a good car, we've got a good track. Hopefully, we're going to have a fabulous qualifier and 2, maybe even better races.
You would hope so. I realize I'm like off these. Okay, anyway, we are going to have a great race here. It's going to be exciting to see not only what Watkins Glen what Willow Springs looked like with Ligiers, but now we are taking the LMP2s out to Watkins Glen to see what they have to show us. This is the boot layout for the track, if you're wondering. So we'll talk a little bit more about that in just a second. I don't want to completely spoil Evan's excellent track car introduction in just a few moments. So while I tease you about that, I'm going to go ahead and hit you with the info for what we are doing here in AMX Global League Season 3. If you are new, if you're not new, then you've probably seen this 100 times. If you are new, this is a breakdown of what's going on. $25,000 are on the line up until December 17th. About 3 months of racing, and we are coming down to the end as we enter into our final month of competition. The race format is as follows: 15-minute qualifier, 15-minute heat number 1, and 15-minute heat number 2, with a top 15 reverse grid in between to shake things up a little bit, and it's given us some great action all season long, so I can't wait to see more of it as we hop into AMX 10 here in just a little bit. For AMX 10, we do require that you turn on your cameras and join via video link, which you can find on our AMXrace.com website or in the AMX Global Discord server, which you can also find on our website. But yeah, join via the video link in the announcements channel, and we'd love to see you out here for AMX 10. If you accumulate a balance of over $100, many of our drivers have accumulated over that this season, then we will pay it out to you by the 20th of each month. So that's the payout structure. It means you don't have to wait until the very, very end of the season to get paid out. And we've already had several payments go out to our racers, so that's exactly how we do it. If you'd like to race with us here in AMX 0 or AMX 10, any of our AMX Global League Season 3 races, this is when we do it. If you are in the Americas region, then you can join us for AMX 0 at 6:50 p.m. on Wednesdays, AMX 10 about an hour and a half later at 8:20 p.m. Then on Saturdays and Sundays, on the weekends, we do it at 11:50 a.m. That's right around the middle of the day, around noon, and then about an hour and a half later, we are heading to AMX 10 at 1:20 p.m. on the weekends. If you are in Europe, then the schedule is a little bit different. We got late night racing, late Wednesday night, technically Thursday morning, and midnight or a little bit thereafter for AMX 0 and 2:20 a.m. for AMX 10. Then it's a little bit of a better time. If you want to race while the sun's out, it is Saturday and Sunday, 5:50 p.m. Then AMX 10 starting at 7:20 p.m. on the weekend. If you are in Central European time, that's when it is. This is a breakdown of what we are racing for here today. It is a little bit more than the numbers that you see on your screen right now. If you want to multiply the AMX 0 race prize pool by about, 5? Yeah, about 5 times the amount of prize money. So if you want to do some mental math, that's what you can do there. That's what it looks like. About $40 for first place. Actually, it's not about. It's exactly $40 for first place in qualifier, Heat 1 and Heat 2. And we're paying you out for all three of them. So you can see that there's a lot of money on the line. $5 for the fastest lap in Heat 1 and Heat 2. So that's not bad. And then also, beyond there being $601 in the race, you don't get any of this if you don't turn your camera on. So just a reminder that cameras are required for AMX 10 if you want to get any of what you see on your screen right there. Here is a look at what else we're racing for. It is the AMX 10 Championship Prize provided by Next Level Racing. They've given us an FGT Elite to give away to the champion of AMX 10. Obviously, there's a lot of racing cockpits available from Next Level Racing. So if you are in the market for one, head on over there or just get really good at racing and win it. So big thanks to our friends at Next Level Racing for partnering with us for AMX Global League Season 3 and giving the AMX 10 champion and FGT Elite to level up the prize pool out here. So taking things to the next level with Next Level Racing. Big thanks to them. AMX 10 Top 12. This is a look at the leaderboard for Season 3. Quarantine Ganez and Gael Valero. Wow, the Frenchman way up at the front with over $1,000 won this season. Fabrizio Belziti is almost in that quadruple-digit club with 22 races raced and 1 win. So he knows what it is to hit the top of the standings. He is currently on the 3rd step of the podium. These are the top 12. If you'd like to get your name into the top 12, amxrace.com is the place to do it. There is still time left. You can still get out here and join any one of those or these racers. AMX 10 power rankings, average winnings. It's basically the same situation. Enzo Benito, Chris Lullum, Diogo Pinto, Josh Thompson. It's a whole host of Team Redline racers up at the top, punctuated by Quarantine Ganez, a guy whose name you've probably seen a lot, and Balash Tarachi, who is also showed up, put it on pole like 3 times, won $70, and we've never seen him again. So I hope we get him back here because he was an absolutely incredible racer. It's going to be great to see him a little bit later on, too. Notable names are the rest of Team Redline on the other side, and it's going to look a little bit like that here today as we have more of them joining us for today's AMX 10 race. If you would like to join us for today's AMX 10 race or any of the AMX 10 races remaining this season, you can do so for free for a limited time only. A race that would normally cost you about $10 to join, that's why it's called AMX 10, is free if you are fast enough. I mean, if you're a racer, you're used to being fast, right? So if you are fast enough to the AMXrace.com website, then you can join AMX 10 races for free for a limited time only. So make sure to head on over to amxrace.com and see if you're fast enough to sign up for free for any of our AMX 10 races left this season. We're adding new races all the time, so make sure to keep it tuned to amxrace.com for all the info that you need to race with us this season. Now that does it for our housekeeping, which means it's time for me to turn it over to Evan to talk about what and where we are racing here today.
Yes, we're here at Watkins Glen International, renamed that in 1983, of course. It is amongst the vineyards and woodlands of New York's Finger Lake region. It is a 5.434 kilometer circuit with 2 layouts and has the Grand Prix layout, which we've seen Formula 1 cars, we've seen NASCARs, we've seen IMSA mobiles tackle the circuit, and then on the short circuit we've seen just as much action. But it is a fantastic track that has been changed many a time. Of course, we have the new bus stop chicane, we have the loop, we have many fabulous corners. It initially was built to stop public road races around the region. That was the purpose for its building. But what are we racing around? We're not racing on public roads. We are racing Dallara P217s. They are LMP2 machines. About 600 brake horsepower, or 603 to be exact. They are rear wheel driven. Very light cars, about 795 kg, with a 6-speed sequential paddle shift gearbox by X-Track. It's a 4.2 litre Gibson V8 in it. And one thing we know about V8s, they sound absolutely beautiful. So a fabulous car, very light, and it is very good for racing. We see it in Le Mans and in European Le Mans series. But it is time for qualifying here around Watkins Glen.
Yeah, LMP2s and specifically the Stellar are one of those cars that have so much downforce that I don't know if we're going to see them racing upside down anytime soon. But for a car that weighs under a ton, or I guess under a kilogram, whatever you want to call that, under 1,000 kilograms, they are very light and surprisingly small. You don't really get to see the scale of these cars when you're watching them race against each other. But if you want to use Maurizio Lozano there towards the bottom of your screen for scale, nah, I'm just kidding. They are actually a little bit tiny. They are absolute rocket ships, and so we will be moving quite quickly tonight around Watkins Glen. It's going to be a great night to see what we can get done in these LMP2s. And we do have quite a variety, right? Sometimes we're racing basically bicycle, chainsaw, engine-powered cars and like Formula Vs all the way up here to some of the fastest cars in the world. It's going to be a great day of racing as we hop on board with Maurizio Lozano to see what he can do out here in his, I almost said Ligier, but it's Dallara.
Yeah, the Ligiers were earlier. We're in much faster machinery and literally a step up. In terms of practice times, if you want to know what we're looking for here, the fastest time was by Pedro Dean. It was a 1:32.9, and Jackson Mersenje did the exact same lap, 1:32.9. There was a little bit difference when you look at the hundreds and thousands of it, but it was a 1:32.9 is, well, the time to beat, I suppose. But on board with Lozano now, heading down towards turn 7. This is the toe, and then up towards turn number 8. These corners are the boot layout. That's why you may hear us calling it the boot layout for the duration of the broadcast. This is the boot section, seemingly. It does look a little bit like a boot, I suppose. That's probably where they chose the name for it, but that was newly added. That was not, of course, on the original Watkins Glen track. But nevertheless, 3 minutes into qualifying. It's a long circuit, so there's not going to be an awful lot of margin for error here. You've got to get your fast laps in early, and you've got to make sure you're consistent.
Yeah, that's right. It's not only about being consistent, but you also have to set up your laps. You actually mentioned this earlier, Evan. When it comes to qualifiers, you definitely have to make sure that you're not catching a lot of traffic. And yeah, speaking of traffic, we have a lot of racers out here on the grid with us today. I was checking our live timing, which you guys can check along with me by scanning the QR code on the right-hand side of your screen. And that's going to take you to the live timing for today's race. And we have about 20 plus racers joining us today. So that means the grid is going to be a little bit big. And when you are planning your out laps, getting out there to get your best qualifying time in, it might just take a while before you find yourself out of traffic with some time to go flat out and set that absolute fastest time. The fastest time that guys like Rodrigo Lasowski, who you can see on your screen in the bottom left-hand corner, are trying to set right now. He has some iconic track outlines, track maps on his wall behind him, but something tells me that's, even though it's shaped like a boot, it's not part of the layout of Watkins Glen.
No, that's Monza behind him. That is the Autodromo di Nazionale Monza, is how the Italians would say it. But no, not part of Watkins Glen here. Monza is a different case. But in terms of traffic, although they are small cars, this is also a small circuit. So traffic in the last couple of corners, turn 9, turn 10, turn 11, it can back up. And we might see a couple of impediments here. And that's the last thing a driver wants. When you're on a good lap, then all of a sudden, whoop, there's a Dallara parked in front of me. I can no longer continue. But it's a 1:32.9 that is the quickest time for now. So I know I was saying that was the time to beat, but it now literally is the time to beat. It is two Frenchies at the top, very similar to what we saw in earlier's AMX Zero race. Couple of cars off at the bus stop. That is Gaston Kulhavi, I think, who has just pulled off there. And we are looking at the current quickest driver, Le Briguer. We were having some trouble with French surnames earlier. Hopefully we can improve upon our previous race broadcast.
Leberger? Leberger. Look, I'm doing my best. If you're looking at what
Florian.
you are looking at, or if you are wondering what you should be looking at as far as lap times go today, we're actually pretty darn close. The LMP2 record around Watkins Glen was set by Gato Vandergaard in 2022, so just last year, at the 6 Hours of the Glen, the iconic endurance race that's run out here. So it's a match made in heaven. We're bringing it back, and it's a really, really cool to see the parity between real life and virtual, sim racing. So let's see who we have where, because we do have a number of the best drivers out there joining us here today. It's going to be great to see not only several French drivers. I think this is the most French drivers we've had in one race, as we do have Dorian joining us back with Gael Valero. Then we also have Florian and Quarantine up at the top there. So this is getting awfully European here, and it's really cool to see the difference between like the European racers and the racers from South America joining us. We have guys from Uruguay, Argentina, and then Brazil, obviously very well represented, with several Texaco Racing by Tony Kanaan liveries out there on the field today.
We need a couple of Asian and then a couple of Pacific drivers as well, just for the full shebang. But we have plenty of Europeans, plenty of South Americans, mix a few Central Americans in there as well, and we have a very interesting contrast in the skills of the drivers from different regions. But it is the three Europeans on top. Yes, says the European commentator. The American commentator probably disagrees, but it is Florian, leads ahead of Kieran Harrison and Quarantine Guinness. We are currently on board with Quarantine Guinness, heading in towards the loop. He's just exited the bus stop. You can see him there. He's doing the lap one-handed. That is that goes to show how skilled this guy is. He's doing it one-handed because it's an out lap. He's not pushing at all.
Just hopping on board with Quarantine Guinness, probably the French driver that we see the most in AMX 10 specifically. Fastest laps seem effortless when it's coming to Quarantine Guinness. He really does put a lot of work into practicing ahead of time. This is a guy you're going to see in every practice session. Really competes at the highest level in a number of sim racing competitions. He is actually just so good. So let's keep an eye on what he has to offer as Pedro Dean sets that P2 time up above him. This is getting really competitive up here at the top of the tower, Evan.
Yeah, Guy Valero there goes to 8th as well, just behind Facundo Arago, so it is really competitive, but I think we're staying on board with the Delaro of Quarantine Guinness. He's heading down towards turn number 1, which is a tricky right-hander. Runoff was extended there, and then you're up towards turn 2 and 3. There was actually a chicane added here for safety reasons, just right about here. It was known as the Jody Scheckter chicane, but that was removed because thankfully safety has improved since then. Then you're on the turn 3 and 4 S's, which are absolutely flat out in these cars, up towards the bus stop. We're now taking a look now, though, at the number 24. This is our current pole sitter, Florian, heading in towards the final corner, turn number 11. He's currently yellow in all his sectors for the time being, as he is just getting another run underway. So obviously backed out of that one, but it is Florian who leads ahead of Pedro Dean and then Kieran Harrison, but really, really close at the top.
Yeah, that's right. Pedro Dean, this is a guy that we've really seen kind of have a meteoric rise in AMX 10 this season. Started out and looked like just one of the other Pedros. We've got like 4 Pedros in this league, and who knows what they're going to do on the day. But he is staking his claim as the number 1 Pedro for a while. Pedro Dean really putting up a lot of really impressive times. Racing, it seems kind of beyond his years. Quite a young driver, and he's showing us what it looks like to compete against the very best up there against Le Bigre and Kieran Harrison. So he's looking great, and he's really putting up some great numbers within a few tenths of the real world and sim records on this track. So very, very exciting to see some of the fastest lap times be very comparable to the best there is out there.
We're just saying we have multiple Pedros. We actually have multiple Pedro Oliveras specifically. There's Pedro Oliveira and Pedro de Oliveira. So if that doesn't get confusing, I don't know what does. There's a bit of grass actually on the track. But here comes Florian Levigre riding through the final corner. He was purple in the second sector. Doesn't actually improve his time, I don't think. He wasn't able to find out. Oh no, he did, but it was by a minuscule margin. We're looking at Pedro Dean, the man we were just speaking about, in a very vibrant green and purple livery. That is a beautiful looking car, and there's a very similar purple and yellow one behind him. But here comes Pedro Dean into the bus stop. You can see you got to nail it through here and just bounce your car all over the curbs. Quite decent there for Pedro Dean. You can see on the The timing on the bottom, there is improvements for Jackson Messenje. He's done 2 personal bests in the second and third sector, respectively. So certainly keep an eye on him as well as the Brazilian we're looking at. Runs a little bit wide onto the grass. He's actually going to back out of that lap, so there wasn't not an improvement there for him. He pulls over to the right-hand side.
Yeah, I was a little bit worried there for a second. We have seen most of our drivers keep it inside the white lines during qualifiers. Don't see too many deleted laps out there, but still kind of surprised to see the contrast. We just watched a really impressive LMP3 performance from Le Livre down there, Dorian, in our first race of the day. And now he seems to be struggling, kind of languishing down there towards P20. So, maybe not characteristic. He's still got about 5 minutes left, but this is kind of a longer track. He's got about 1:30 to get around it. So the time is running out if you want to improve. Guys like Vinicius Dean getting up into 12th. Gael Valero, the man you can see there on your screen. He's got that big black bar, 9.5K iRating, and that's good enough for 9th? Wow, some stiff competition out here on the track today, Evan.
Yeah, absolutely, as there is Dornella who improves to 14th. We've got a lot of cars as well, so we are going to get the full reverse grid. We didn't get it earlier if you were watching AMX 0, but we will have the full 15 reversed, and then we'll have a couple even behind that. Kyle Gaspar has just jumped up to, is that 10th position? Yes, I think it is. There's no improvements on the bottom as well, but we have 2 minutes to go here, so drivers will be looking to start their final laps now to make sure they get completed. But Gael Valero heading up towards the heel of turn number 8. He is improving so far in this lap. It was green in the first, then didn't manage to find a personal best in the second, but he is green in the third, and that's really wide there. I'm not sure if it's within track limits. Certainly track limits around Watkins Glen is an interesting conversation of discussion. But here comes Gael Valero, has turn 10 and 11 to tackle, a left and a right, and then he's onto a fairly short main straight here at Watkins Glen. Pretty quick through there is Gael Valero though, so let's see what he can do. Frustrated actually in the bottom left, you can see, not happy. And yeah, he's 2 seconds down, so... Oh no, he's not. Was a glitch, apologies. He's just on a 1:33.1. It came up that he was 2 seconds down, but he isn't, as Ramos improves to 9th, just behind Maury.
It's a great play-by-play of the final moments of qualifiers here. I do not know what to expect here because I honestly would have predicted this completely differently. LMP2s are very different beasts if you're used to driving Formula cars or TCRs. There's a lot of variety in AMX. And so you can't expect everyone to excel on every car. And so this is just kind of showing you, this is a little bit more complicated to take around the tracks out there. Another improvement there by Lebigre, who finds himself way up at the top with a new fastest lap, 1:32.819. Really, really moving out there. And tenths faster than Dean Harrison Resenge. Quarantine Guinness sitting there in 5th as we watch him right now. Rodrigo Lasowski, one of the racers that we see kind of all over the place, finds a car track combo that really suits him. He's sitting in P6 right now. Gael Valero, the other French driver, there in 7th. And some surprises for me are Gaston Calavi, who's down there in 17th, who I would have expected to maybe improve and will not find his way across the finish line before the end of qualifiers. 5-10 seconds left on the clock as we see the scenic asphalt scenery of the rest of the track. There we go. Our last zoomers coming on through. And that's going to be it for qualifiers, which means it's time to start getting things ready for our first starting grid on AMX 10 of the night. This is what it looks like. We have Florian up at the top, Pedro Dean in P2, Kieran Harrison and his SimRC teammate in 3rd and 5th respectively. Kanani Sports Brazil represented by Jackson Hesenge and Rodrigo Lasowski. It says that he is a privateer. However, once again, I have it on expert opinion that he is actually on a team. I just don't know what it is. So while I do my investigative journalism, we'll get a chance to run through the rest of these names. I didn't see too many upsets except for what I was saying earlier. Gaston Calavi down there a little bit lower than I would have expected. Fabio Zamperlini might just not have a lot of experience with LMP2s. And then one of the other guys, Kyle Gaspar, we see this guy way up at the top for Voracious Racing Team. Yeah, struggling down there below the top 10. So a lot of question marks here as we go into our first heat of the day, Evan.
Yeah, a lot of question marks, but it was quite close qualifying. Top 8 separated by 0.5 of a second. It's not an easy track here at Watkins Glen, and it's not a short one, so 0.5 of a second is quite close. But Heat 1, we are getting prepared for the formation lap. We're on the starting grid, which would make me think we are doing a full formation lap. Here's your reverse grid though. Fabio Zamperlini is going to start on the pole alongside Lucas Dornella. Then it is Vinicius Dean in third, with Maurizio Lozano in fourth, Kyle Gaspar in fifth, followed by Facundo Rago in sixth. And it is Gerardo Ramos, and it is Simon De Mori, Gael Valero, Rodrigo Lazowski, and it is Quarantine Ganez, Jackson Resende, Kieran Harrison, Pedro Dean, and it is Florian Lebigre, and it is Sandro Villas-Boas, and Gaston Kudlhavi lines up ahead of Danilo Fernandez. Then it is Rafael Casacurta ahead of Dorian, whose surname Ian Reid can't pronounce, may as well just admit it now. And then it is Diego Villarreal, who starts from the back. Villarreal didn't have a great AMX 0 day today. Hopefully his AMX 10 journey goes a little bit better here this evening. Or morning or afternoon, wherever you may be watching.
Yeah, that's right. It's probably a little bit of a better time in the Americas region for some of these racers. Yeah, a little bit of a late night for us, but glad to have you alongside me, Evan, as we get things rolling for heat number 1. Man, I love the diversity of a lot of these liveries out there. So cool to see. I mean, even though it's the same car, it is still a lot of individualistic expression. Fabio Zamperlini once again living up to his reputation for having one of the best liveries out there on the track. Meanwhile, the front line locked out by black, which isn't bad either. So we have a start to the race happening any moment now as the pace car gets ready to head around the final corner and into the pits. This is Fabio Zamperlini, somewhat ironically not rocking his, what is it? I think it's one of his Dallara liveries that has like eyelashes on the front end. Oh, it's his Radical SR8 livery. Yeah, it has like eyelashes, bright green and yellow and everywhere. So cool. And then he also has a wide variety of them. He's racing right beside. Wait a second. Let me pull up my live timing grid, which is something that you can do also by scanning the QR code on your screen right there. It's my my little. I don't know if it's an ad. We're not actually advertising anything because it's just live timing. There's no branding on our live timing yet, guys, but we're working on it as we seek to capitalize absolutely everything here. So yeah, Fabio Zamperlini, Duckhawk Racing being represented quite well here as we start warming up the tires and getting ready to start things out. Evan, we're almost ready to turn the lights out.
Yes, we almost are. Rounding through just a couple more corners. It is 2 lefts and a right, and then we do get things underway. Speaking of nice liveries, Pedro Dean and Vinicius Dean have matching liveries, but one has sort of a green asterisk on it and the other one has a pink, which I thought was quite cool. The drivers are just getting their tyres ready. It looked like Lucas Dornella was going early, but he was not. I imagine they'll wait until they exit the final corners to go for this, unless anyone is feeling a little bit ambitious. But it is the race leader that sets the pace. That is, of course, Fabio Zamperlini of Duckhawk Racing, who starts from the front, heading in towards turn number 11. Then it is the final right-hander on a fabulous circuit here in Watkins Glen International. And we go racing here in Watkins Glen. It's a good start from Zamperlini. Gets away well. Dornella as well keeps with him. Vinicius Dean now looking up the inside here of Maurizio Lozano in towards turn number 1. In towards the first corner. Then they're all sort of safely through. Bunching up the pack. Gael Valero there we see running a little bit wide, as well as Kieran Harrison. Harrison and Quarantine Ganez both running those two very iconic SimRC yellow liveries up towards turn 2, 3 and 4. The S's. The bus stop. Going to be a really interesting corner here on this lap because they're so bunched up in the middle of the pack. This could go wrong in many ways, but these guys are great drivers. Let's see how they tackle it. Side by side a few into the bus stop. Zamperlini through safely, as is Dornella. The number 24 there, that's the Team Redline livery. We can see that was Lebriga, who of course took the fastest lap in the qualifier but all sort of relatively safely through, apart from Casacurta. He's coming up that he's in the pits.
Yeah, Casacurta out of there for now. We might see him rejoin later, try to get the fastest lap. We'll see what happens there, because we have a very, very big field, and it's so tightly bunched up here. Big moves inside happening just seemingly by accident, just because of how close they are, how closely this racing resembles the start off the line. So Kieran Harrison dropping down a few places as Lebigra passes him, climbing up towards the top 10, being gate kept by Quarantine Guinness, who really can't make a lot of progress because he is slap up right against the backside of Gael Valero. It's an all-French midfield here. Lebigra, Guinness, Valero bunched up around P10, whereas a lot of our Brazilian racers split between number 1, 2, 3 and 13, 14, 15. So a lot of regional racing all around the tables. And look at the beautiful, picturesque racing lines we have here on our screens, Evan. It is just so chef's kiss perfect.
Yeah, it's beautiful. These guys are all performing really well. Speaking of regional racing, our three French drivers, Valero, Guinness and Lebriga, are all really close on circuit. Dornella not able to really challenge Zamperlini, who is, he's looking quite quick, mind you. Was a decent opening lap from him, as there's a little bit of side-by-side action here. This is Mori, who is looking to defend from Gael Valero and also attack Facundo Rago at the same time. They say attack is the best form of defense. Well, how true is it here in AMX 10? But running in towards the laces and in towards the toe, there's a lot of boot sort of pun corner names here at Watkins Glen. This is not me and Reed picking these, so don't blame us. This is the officials at Watkins Glen who've decided. They're trying to be funny, but on board with Gael Valero, you can get a real look at what this last sector is going to feel like for the Frenchman.
Yeah, there's the heel, a toe. I mean, there's an outer loop. You have loops on boots sometimes. I don't know. We don't make the rules out here, guys. We're on board with Gael Valero. He is in his iconic, what do you call that, teal malachite livery, if you will. And he has just barely crested that 10th place spot. So he is within a 10th of Simon Mori, and will make the overtake happen, getting into P8 just barely. Still only 100 separating him, but he is looking to motor on towards the top 5, and he is well on his way. Glad we got a chance to catch up with Gael, because there is so much going on everywhere else around the field. We've got Simon actually getting knocked way back off of his horse, back out of the race, seemingly. He does make a nice save, but it's not in time as he falls further and further back down the order.
There's a couple of cars side by side into the bus stop as well. They almost went round. We also saw Kyle Valero go around with Simon Mori, so very well there, and Valero is running wide. I wonder, is that car running okay? He's losing positions quickly. Now battling here with Kieran Harrison. Harrison trying it the long way around the outside. This is opportunistic. Harrison ends up on the curb, has to back out of it purely for safety reasons, as Lizowski looking for this one around the outside. This is high-speed action here in the middle sector of Watkins Glen. These guys are going for all the marbles. Look at this one. Simon Mori now attacking back the three wide in towards turn number 8 here at Watkins Glen. Lizowski breaks the latest, and even Pedro Dean is looking to get involved in the action in the background. Harrison follows Lizowski off and runs wide, and we see Simon Mori in a very distinct white car, as actually there's problems for the race leader. Zamperlini is losing positions quickly. No, okay, never mind, it's netcode.
That's right. Yeah, it just dropped out there for a second, but he's still in first place by a mile. It's a second and a half almost separating him from his fellow Brazilians, Dornella and Vinicius Dean. Let's see, it was Pedro Dean earlier. Now it's Vinicius Dean. Man, so many similar names out here today. So let's try to keep them straight as we see where they are on the track. Hopping on board with our AMX 0 Heat 2, or Heat 1 winner, Gerardo Ramos, right in front of Facundo Rago, but maybe not for long. Look at the speed, hitting the pedal to the metal and going for the overtake, but he can't make it stick on the outside. Shoves it down the inside, can't get it there either, and now actually falling back behind Lebigra. That was not the move that Facundo Rago was trying to make.
No, it wasn't. He made a mess of that, and it was looking like he was gonna have the better line in towards the loop, but he just completely lost it, and Florian Levigra managed to get the job done. He's now the man attacking Gerardo Ramos. Ramos, of course, has tasted success this evening, won the opener in AMX 0. He's looking, relatively looking to repeat it here in AMX 10. He's got a lot of work to do if he wants to do it. Here comes Lebigra, a big dive down the inside in towards turn number 8. He's going to have the outside line for the uphill left-hander. Maybe a switchback manoeuvre potentially for the Team Red Line representative. No, still right behind the Dallara in front of him. He's going to have to work hard if he wants to get past Ramos. Oh, look at the gamesmanship, flashing the lights in towards the penultimate corner to just make Ramos very much aware at the fact he is present and he wants this position. Using the slipstream, Ramos 1.8 behind, won't necessarily be picking up the best of toes. Here comes the Frenchman, late braking in towards turn number 1, Lebigra. Oh, that's an exquisite move. Great racing from Florian Lebigra. We jump up the front, Vinicius Dean under pressure, but this is a fabulous battling between some of the best here at AMX 10.
Big move there by Lebigra as he goes up closer and closer to that top 5. Really making up a ton of time. As you can see, he is in some good company. He does have Corentin Ganez and Gael Valero right behind him, with Facundo Rago and Corentin making a big move of his own, climbing ever faster towards that top 5 as well. So much action going on here in the front and the midfield, especially as our racers are just jam-packed right next to each other, tying on strings to the fronts and backs, just keeping things as close as they possibly can. As we watch Corentin Ganez as he finds himself in really a huge sandwich of racers all trying to make their mark here on the midfield. We're over halfway through our time in heat number 1 here, and I have no idea who to predict. It could be anybody's race, Evan.
It certainly could be. You can have a look at the picture-in-picture here. This is Gael Valero and Simon De Mori. This was heading up through turn 2 and 3, and yeah, you just see De Mori just loses it, and Gael Valero is a very lucky customer to keep his car in a straight line there, just squeezes past. And I think Gael Valero almost acts as a cushion for De Mori and keeps him on the track, and they're both okay. They're still running. Gael Valero is ahead of Simon De Mori. Kieran Harrison, the filling in the sandwich. We go up through turn 2 and 3 again. This is Vinicius Dean, who is under pressure from Mauricio Lozano. It is the Brazilian against the Mexican. They're going to aim to be side by side into the bus stop as Dean takes the defensive approach. He's going to try and take the inside line, and that's clever racing. And that is Lozano behind. Jackson Resende as well just got a spot on Facundo Rago, and I think we have maybe a problem for Boas in the back as well. He's just lost a handful of spaces.
Yeah, Boas and Dorian were both involved in something, a fracas down there towards the bottom. Didn't get a chance to see what it is because we're too busy watching the greatness on our screen right now. Oh man, a brief hill climb through the tight right-hander, and this is really intense to watch because we might have another overtake in the making here, right? Caio Gaspar is getting ready for it as Gael Valero gets overtaken by Kieran Harrison there to get himself up in the P12 in the back. This is a look at Caio Gaspar on board. Although it does appear as if he... Oh, it's from the front. Okay, so on board with him, and look at who is really invading that pipeline in the back. It's Lebigra, Lozano, Caio Gaspar, all doing the most exquisite of battles here up for P4, 5, 6. So much action, and Lozano finally looks like he might have got here, but Lebigra is really on a massive push into the top 5, Evan.
Yeah, I saw a comment there saying this is intense. That's absolutely how you describe it. This is really anti-racing as Lazowski gets past Facundo Rago, Corentin Ganez gets past Gerardo Ramos, and they're side by side in the battle for 7th and 8th. We have a Caio Gaspar on board in the picture-in-picture, which is great to see. I think it's looking back at Lebigra. You can just see him like a shark in the water here. Look how much more committed he is in towards the chicane. I'm not saying that he's necessarily quicker, but he's just committing more into the corner and looks quicker. But the gap relatively remains the same. Lap 7 out of 10 though. Zamperlini does have a 2.2 second lead and is comfortable at the top, it seems. The 3 Brazilians started first, second and third, and very impressive to remain first, second and third when you have a reverse grid like this. Usually we see that it sort of swaps around and sorts itself out. but not necessarily here this evening. The biggest gainer that I can see on your timing tower, that is, of course, Florian Lebigre, who is up 10 positions and doing a fabulous job here.
Yeah, Lilibra 2 also made it way from downtown and is climbing up towards the points in that towards that 15th place. So we have Kieran Harrison, also a big climber. He's been struggling because he did have a very, very contentious midfield. Gael also trying to make his way up the field, but struggling also. So really, really seeing some of the best racers on the track having some of the most difficult times. Of course, giving the strongest soldiers the hardest battles, if you want to talk about it that way. Let's look at Lebigre as he goes way up the inside on Gaspar, cuts him off and takes that top 4 spot away. Hand in the cookie jar, and there it is. Florian Lebigre up into P4. But from here on out, Evan, it's 2 laps to make up 3 seconds to get on that podium. Can he do it?
Yeah, it's going to be tough. It is going to be tough. He has Vinicius Dean in front of him, but the race win is way further up the road. Number 24. Oh, he's like, sorry.
Whoa,
no, he's gone round. He has
what?
gone round. Thought it was just a case of lag again, but Florian Lebigre has put it all in the bin. All the hard work has just been undone by such a silly error into Laces, and he's gone round, and now Lebigre is battling with Facundo Rago for 11th position. He was up 10 spots. He was up 11 spots, mind you. He's still up 4, but very disappointed with Lebigre, who was on for a really nice result. Vinicius Dean's not going to be complaining, though, as he can continue close quarters battles with his fellow Kyle Gaspar.
Yeah, I'd love to get another look at exactly what happened there, Evan. It looked like it might have been just a personal error, but it's still kind of heartbreaking to see such a huge run be undone in the brief last moments of our time here in Heat 1.
Yeah, I'd love to see a replay. Thankfully, we have a fabulous crew here at AMX who'll probably have it for us in a couple of moments, but it's not like we have any action that we want to necessarily avoid here, because there's still battles across the board. The race win might not have the closest of fights, but the podium certainly does. Vinicius Dean is being slipstreamed down towards the bus stop. The bus stop technically not listed as a corner on this track because it was added in 1992 or something like that, so it's technically not a problem. Here's our replay in the picture-in-picture. He broke too late, and I think he's just locked some tyres there. You can see a lot of smoke coming off the left-hand side tyres, front and rear. Yeah, it's a mistake under his own accord. He's going to be kicking himself for that.
Well, he did have a nice save there, as he does keep it pointed the right direction, and keeps it out of the barriers, most importantly, and is able to maintain his race. Might have some flat spots on those tires, but he's still doing what he does best, and is climbing up the order. And so any second now, you're going to see Kieran Harrison start checking his mirrors. Less than a 10th, almost less than a 10th, and there he goes. Lebigre makes the move on Kieran behind. Some big action as he tries to climb back and regain those spots he lost. In the meantime, Quarantine Ganez battling Lozano, Gaspar, all in the mix that you can see on your screen right there. So much going on up here towards the front of the field. Lebigre battling Harrison again. It's so intense back there, but the action's so hot everywhere, we can't even show it. So much happening here as they go wheel to wheel, coming alongside. It's Mauricio Lozano making his way past, or no, is it Resenge? Lozano. Who is going to come out on top? They go wide through the turn into the straight, and now this is going to be a Lozano 6th place for sure. Lasowski can't make it past, but Ganez really puts it into 5th place, somewhat dominantly, I want to say. Kyle Gaspar, now we're watching this guy trying to claim that 3rd place on the podium. Vinicius Dean looking like a snack up there. Gaspar opening wide the jaws of his LMP, but no, he falls back instead as Ganez now on an absolute tear. Ganez Gaspar, who will maintain that 4th place position. The white flag is out, Evan, and we are only racing for one more lap, no matter how hard these guys want to fight it out.
Yeah, it's go for broke here at Watkins Glen. You can see Ganez is just trying everything to get past Kyle Gaspar, and Ganez is also being attacked from Maurizio Lozano in the background. The Mexican wants to try and get every last spot. Zamperlini running through the final corners now. These guys are all still pedal to the metal. They are throwing everything at it, but it's very difficult to overtake in these final few corners, unless your name is Florian Levigre, seemingly, as he was trying around the outside. But here we go, rounding the final couple of corners. It's Zamperlini who's going to take the win ahead of fellow Brazilian Dornella. It's going to be an all-Brazilian podium with Vinicius Dean in third, or is it, as you see Gaspar drag race to the line? They're all crossing the line now. Race directors certainly had to get their money's worth there. What an absolute thriller.
Yeah, no question about that one, Evan. We really got a chance to see a little bit of everything. Absolutely immaculate racing. A few personal errors in between there, but mostly this just looked like any endurance race you could have seen anywhere in the world. LMP2 is really one of the best car formulas designed out there, and we got a chance to see the Dalaras really make it look good. Obviously, our racers really came out to play today, and in the end, it sort of ends the way it started, with Fabio Zamperlini, Lucas Dornella, and Vinicius Dean locking out the top three. A big win here for Fabio, who, like I said, he's got a lot of personality, a lot of heart, but a lot of struggles in his races that keep him out of the top one a lot. But to see him here with a super dominant race, he finished 2 seconds ahead of the next guy, who finished 6th and then another 6. So he is 10, 12 seconds away from any other humans out there on the track. And we got some pretty good humans here, Evan.
Yeah, we do. That's a really impressive win. You can see him there in the bottom right in the BenQ session winner camera. He is absolutely chuffed, but also focused. Because if you thought that was good, we've Heat 2 coming up here live from Watkins Glen International. You can see our fabulous graphics on screen now showcasing that. We get to do it all again for another 10 laps, plus a formation, of course. But this one, I expect it to be just as intense. I can't really see anything that would indicate it won't be.
Our engine's starting up here as we get ready for our rolling start. Our final trip around the track tonight. First row, Pedro Dean and Simon Demori. Locking that out, it's Facundo Rago and Gael Valero, who struggled his way barely up into the top 15 for the reverse grid. Next after that, it is Florian Lebigre, who has, really got to be kicking himself after what seemed to be a guaranteed top 3 finish. Couldn't quite make it there. He's alongside Kieran Harrison. Behind him, fourth row, Jackson Asenge and Gerardo Ramos, followed by Maurizio Lozano, Rodrigo Lasowski behind them. Next, it's Caio Gaspar and Quarantine Guinness, who find themselves side by side here today. Lucas Dornella, Vinicius Dean, Gaston Calabi, Fabio Zamperlini, and then rounding out our final 5 are Dorian Lelivre, Sandro Boas, Diego Villarreal, Danilo Fernandez, a guy that we didn't get a chance to talk about very much, and Rafael Casacurta finds himself down in 21st. So anything can change as the pace car starts to count its last few moments on track. You can see the racing lines start to tighten up as our racers are itching, getting ready to go for their final trip out onto the track tonight. Evan, we are about to get things started here, and after what was one of the best races of the season, it looked so clean, it looked so good to start things out in heat number 1. We're going to do it all over again.
Yes, we are. It was an aesthetically beautiful Grand Prix, if that is such a thing. I'm sure it is in some shape or make, but it was a brilliant race to start race 27 for AMX 10. Hopefully we have equally as good. Of course, we have a reversed top 15, but we still have a Brazilian starting. It is Pedro Dean who will start from first. Of course, we saw Vinicius Dean in third last heat. We have Pedro Dean looking to repeat the feat here today, but he's got some tough challenges at the top. Gael Valero has less cars to cut through this time. Maybe he was a little bit overwhelmed by the task in front of him. Heat 1, Heat 2 might be a little bit better, but the pace car is going to pull into the pit lane soon. It's difficult to predict this one.
Yeah, absolutely, Evan. I mean, I love that you've kind of caught up to things so quickly, because keep in mind, guys, Evan came in like what was it, like 3-4 races ago. This is not a tournament that you've been a part of for
It's my
very
fifth
long,
race.
and you're yeah, I was going to say, this is not, this has been a 72 race season, and you're already picking up on a lot of the trends here, and there's a lot of cool stories to be told, guys. The more you watch AMX Global League, the more you realize, hey, these guys each have their own stories, they each have their own strengths, weaknesses, and we're going to see all of that today as we go racing. The engine's revving. And we are good to go. Pedro Dean up at the top. He's got a great start with Gael Valero and Facundo Rago behind. Towards the back, we've got some big losses for Simon Mori, who seemingly is not here to join us on track. Meanwhile, we've got in the midfield dominated by Quarantine Guinness, who's making up +3, looking for a fourth one here any second now. Gaston Calavi's got a big win there towards the back of the pack, and we're on board with Gael Valero, who is racing for that second place spot. He's going to defend against Kieran Harrison in the midfield. We've got Quarantine Guinness making up even more spots. Lozano right behind him, now on board with Dean, who is trying to carve himself out a 1 second window against Gael Valero in P2.
Yeah, Simon Demore, his car is actually on track, but it seems like he's having some form of transponder issue or something along those lines, because the timing tower is a little bit glitched, but you can see the white front with the red sort of bumper and rear wing. That is Simon Demore there in second, just ahead of Gael Valero's 33 sort of teal and white car. There's a move there in the background. That's one of our SimRC guys, as we see Gaston Colhavi as well making a move there, just getting past Vinicius Dean. Lizowski losing spots as well, and now Colhavi and Dean, the two making the move and trying to make moves on each other. Last heat's winner Fabio Zampellini is making moves as well. He's up to 14th now in the 3-2-7, which is a weird choice of a racing number, but it's a racing number nonetheless. And Donella as well, trying to get past Le Livre for 15th position. It started the way the last one finished. There's cars going for moves everywhere, and it's difficult even to keep up with.
Yes, so much action here, Evan. There's 20 plus racers out on the grid tonight, and that means that this reminds me a little bit it's giving me the real WEC kind of feeling here as we bring these LMP2s to bear. Dallara, of course, manufacturer of just about every kind of car you could possibly imagine out there. This is what happens when you get a guy who goes through, he sneaks through Ferrari, Maserati, Lamborghini, and then a couple other places, decides, hey, wait a second, I've learned a little bit. Makes Dallara cars as good as the ones out here on your field today. And it's not just him. The driver's also doing a lot to make these cars look good for us today. We were talking about that 1 second lead that Pedro Dean has carved for himself. He's got it. And Gael Valero is also way up there. So even though we are talking about P1, P2, keep in mind that Simon Mori is in that P2 spot. So just pencil him in there. If you guys are keeping notes, then kind of imagine, if you will, Simon Mori up there towards the top of the field instead of the back.
Yeah, Demore is there in second. He's just ahead of Gael Valero. We'll keep you up to date as much as we can on the whereabouts of Simon Demore, on what he gets up to here in these races. But yeah, these LMP2 cars are fabulous, and it's a real shame that they're pulling them from Le Mans. Of course, they're in the European Le Mans series and the Asian Le Mans series as well. But yeah, these LMP2 cars are fabulous to race. They sound good, they handle good, they're fun to drive, as we do see a bit of movement here in the background. This is a high-stakes battle. Kieran Harrison versus Florian Lebigre. What a scrap this could be as the Team Redline driver goes for the outside. He's looking for that inside line into the bus stop, but Harrison is not going to budge. The British driver knows well how to defend. They're side-by-side into the bus stop. Harrison comes out on top. But here at the front, Gael Valero still chasing down Simon Demore, as there it is, it's fixed. Simon Demore is into second. A fantastic job to all behind the scenes for fixing that issue.
Yeah, exactly. We have our top men and women on the case. Kieran Harrison is doing his best here, although Lebigre is not making it easy on him. Harrison's got about as wide a car as he can make it, but Lebigre, he's going for it. However, the hubris could be his undoing once again, Evan, as we saw him lock up, go wide, break late, and knock himself out of what would have been seemingly a podium finish in heat number 1, final heat of the night, and he has one final chance to do it. Let's see what his first time out here in AMX can do. As, it's always a little bit interesting when you join a new tournament. What are the rules? What are the racers like? How am I going to learn these cars and tracks? So it's a lot, but he is seemingly excelling and is locking down that top 5 spot. But you know he wants a little bit more.
Yeah, he's trying to repeat what we saw Tarozzi do a few weeks ago in Spa-Francorchamps in the GTPs. He, of course, won his first AMX 10 race. Unfortunately, Levigra cannot do that because that opportunity has come and gone. But still, nonetheless, he's looking for a good result, looking to impress us. Maybe me and Reed specifically, who knows, maybe he's big fans of the show, but he's looking to impress the people of the wider sim racing community. We see Simon Demori ultra focused there on the bottom left as we see him heading towards the bus stop defending from Guy Valero. We have 2 pictures in pictures now on the screen. We have the onboard of Florian Lebigra as well. It was a move there for Lizowski, who has just got past Gaston Kulhavi. That's for 11th position.
Yeah, beautiful. Love the data on the screen. Production at an all-time high. Of course, a big shout out to them. I hope you guys are enjoying the show wherever you are watching, whether it's Twitch, YouTube, your living room, your basement. We'd love to have you here along with us for what has been some absolutely amazing racing today. Simon Morey really just putting on a show here. He, I feel has had some very unlucky situations, gotten taken out, shunted a few times, and now finds himself in a pretty comfortable P2, but with Guile Valero right behind him, how comfortable really can you count yourself? Honestly, he's been making it look a lot easier than it really would be with both Guile Valero and Kieran Harrison right behind him, Lebigra behind them. This is an absolutely stacked top 5, Evan. Any one of these guys could take home the win, although Pedro Dean is 1.2 seconds ahead. Who knows what can happen as we enter the final half of our race here tonight. The Glen playing host to so many amazing races, in real life, and now here getting one more in the sim. Just can't look any better than this, Evan. It's just been so much of a treat to watch this. Kieran Harrison now finds himself fancying himself for a move. Can he do it? He looked for the angle alongside. You can see Guile Valero also looking for a way around Simon Morey. Can he make it happen? The bumps and the curves say no, so it will not be a time fast enough to make it around the corner. But speaking of corners, we are coming up to a great passing opportunity here in just 2 more. So let's see who can keep it where they have it, who can make up places. Oh, there it is. Okay, yeah. Sorry, my timing tower is a little bit interesting there for a second. Lebigra makes the move happen on to Kieran Harrison up into top 4.
Yeah, Lebigra, the corner where it all went wrong for him, it's just gone very right, and he's finally got past Kieran Harrison. Isn't it just fantastic how easy these cars can take the curves at the bus stop, though? It's just little bump in the road, nothing major. As we see Demori run wide, Demori is frustrating the living hell out of Guile Valero. You can tell it in the body language of that 33 French car. And now look, he's going off the inside into a real opportunistic corner, but that's because he's being attacked by Florian Lebigra, who has been a standout star so far here in Watkins Glen. He's lost a couple of tenths of a second because of that, and now he has Kieran Harrison behind him. Harrison won an AMX 0 race earlier as well, just like Gerardo Ramos. He's looking for more. He's looking for that extra bit of glory and the extra few dollars, but we'll still hype up that he's doing it for passion. As we see Guile Valero, look at him. You can tell there's just a sense of frustration on board that car, because Simon Demori has done an excellent job to defend from him, but this seems like it's Valero's opportunity into the slipstream, heading towards the bus stop. He's going to go for the inside. No, he's going to sit behind for the time being, because you can brake really late for this corner. Although it is sometimes hyped up as the best overtaken opportunity, it's not necessarily. Speaking of not being overtaken opportunities, that certainly wasn't one, and it almost got very close between the German Austrian and the French.
No, so close. Apologies for my monosyllabic commentary there. It just gets a little bit tense sometimes, guys. You can see just how close our racers are keeping it. And this is the battle for P2. Simon Demori really finding his best racing here. And you can see it in the look in Guile Valero's eyes. These are some of the best racers you're ever going to see in not only AMX Global League Season 3, but in any tournament you ever see them race in. And whenever you are around your rivals, whenever you are racing against competitors of similar skill levels, it really brings out the best in athletes, in competitors, in racers everywhere. And that's what you're getting the privilege of seeing here today. While normally it would be Guile Valero, an incredible racer racing in an incredible race, now now he is racing against other incredible racers who just make not only themselves but also him look even better. So such a treat to be treated to such immaculate racing here tonight as we watch the top of the action get even more intense. We had Lebigre looking at a move of his own, finds himself within a tenth of Gael Valero coming up alongside of him. Can he make the move on the inside? No, he has to slot back in around the curve.
Yeah, this is brilliant racing, and as you were saying, these are all fantastic drivers. I'll respect and love any driver who puts themselves on the track to race, to be critiqued by us, but this is a star-studded grid. We've got some of the best, not just in AMX, in the sim racing community in general. We've got some of the best sat here in front of us, performing to their best and providing the best action possible around Watkins Glen. And this is not an easy track to race at, but boy, do these guys make it look easy, as Gael Valero still cannot find a way past Simon Demori. There was a message come up in the live chat feature on the bottom of the screen that says, this P2 train is crazy. It is. This P2 train stretches back to Jackson Resende in 8th position. Unfortunately, though, we are running out of laps, so if they want to sort out this train, they're going to have to do it quickly.
Yeah, absolutely. Not every day you get a chance to watch two World Championship licenses race against each other, of course, held in the hands of Lebigre and Valero. They're in P3 and 4, irrespectively. Simon Mori, we're just going to be on board with this guy for the entire race, I feel like, because it is so intense. Lebigre falling back behind Harrison? Is that what I'm seeing on my screen? I don't know, because everybody is taking that curve a little wide. Lebigre is, in fact, still in 4th, so Harrison's going to contend himself for that top 5. But for how long? The yellow Sim RC Racing liveries behind the red of Team Red line, moving their way up in front, and actually, dare I say it, Gael Valero and Mori, for a moment there, we're having a little bit of a three-legged race tied right next to each other, but going back into this line we've seen for all race long, it feels... Evan, this battle could go on for another 100 laps, and I would watch every one of them.
Yeah, I hope these guys do realise this isn't the 6 hours of the Glen, as much as I would love it to be. Maybe you not so much, Reed, because it's very late where you are, but this race does end in a couple of laps, and Gael Valero is running headfirst into a brick wall every lap here. He went to the side of the wall, but unfortunately still couldn't get up it. Simon Demori still remains in 2nd place here. This is a valiant effort from Simon Demori, and genuinely, it's so difficult to drive like this, not make a single mistake. He hasn't even really ran wide much here in this race. It's been an impressive showing, and he is keeping some of the best names in the business behind him, of course, here. But yeah, 2 laps to go on the penultimate lap of this race. White flag will show next time round. As there is another comment saying this is very stressful. It is, not for us, for the drivers, because this is close quarters action.
Yeah, absolutely hand-to-hand combat here, Evan. It does not get much better than this, and our racers know they can count just as well as I can. I've got both my hands in front of me, and all the way up to 9 go my little piggies, saying we have 1 lap left. So let's see what happens here. Gael Valero tried again, and he still can't make it past. This is the defensive drive of Simon Demori's life. You know he's got his racing gloves on because you can see him there, but otherwise he would really struggle to just hang on, because he really will have to through some of these incredibly difficult curves to see guys like Lebigre, who can watch on board with right now. He might be looking for a move around Gael Valero, but it's, you know, moves being made, movers making moves on other movers. I don't know, it's so crazy up here. And we also have Karen Harrison looking for his chance to strike on Lebigre. So who's going to do it to who? Everybody try to do it to each other, and that's what I love. We go a little bit wide here, trying to keep it on the road, and it just doesn't get much better than this, Evan.
It's the indestructible force versus the immovable object versus a constant bombardment from behind. White flag is going to show this time round, as Pedro Dean will get us underway on the fastest, or on the fastest, well, maybe fastest lap. The last lap is what I mean. It was a 33.9, which is not the fastest lap for Pedro Dean, but there's only a couple more corners where Gael Valero can try get this 2nd position. They both deserve it equally. Simon Demori does have the better cards in hand, however. Of course, we had the Las Vegas F1 race today, but these guys are gambling a lot more on this final lap. Luca Donella made a move there on Dorian, I think. Heading in towards the bus stop, though, Valero has actually fallen off a little bit, so Simon Demori, I think, is going to be able to bring this one home. There's a mistake for Lebigra. He's gone straight across the bus stop. Could potentially get a penalty for that one. He's down to 7th. It's another late mistake for Florian Lebigra. That's heart-wrenching, but he is the cause of his own demise, unfortunately, here.
That's right, we are the architects of our own, and for him, he is, man, got to be kicking himself once again late in the race on the final lap. Finds himself down to 7th. Can he make anything happen from here? All of a sudden, he's got to battle against Facundo Rago ahead of him, and I think he might be able to make this move happen. We are running out of corners here tonight, Evan, and so the race is on for Lebigra to try to make up some of his mistakes. He has a little bit of a chance at redemption here, but time is running out. This is the way that the field looks right now. You can see the money that they're racing for right here on your screen. 40 for first, and with a 3-second lead, Pedro Dean will dominate into first here, seemingly inevitably. Right behind him, Simon Demori does have his work cut out for him, but with the checkered flag waving, he will slot himself through into P2. Gael Valero, Harrison, Ganez, Rago, Lebigra in 7th, and a whole host of racers coming through their own checkered flags to finalize our results for heat number 2 for the final time around Watkins Glen here tonight. Evan, what a way to finish.
Yeah, that was stunning. That was fantastic. And Simon Demori, just a clap from me, because he's held up an unbelievable train of cars there. A mighty impressive one as well. And he held firm. He didn't really make any mistakes, and he's going to pick up a nice little prize for that one as well, of course, in the form of prize money.
Yeah, wow. Holy. Not a lot to say about that one, Evan, other than just the gift of goodness is too much to take for granted. Just incredible. The racers, the racing, everything tonight. We need to have some, fire emojis behind this, because what on earth was this race? And we didn't even talk about the guy in the bottom right-hand corner. Pedro Dean dominated so hard, he booster rocketed into the distance, and we never heard from this guy again. He is living in the future. When we are 80 years old, we'll see him as he is now, a time traveler into first place by 3 and almost a half seconds. Some incredible racing being done here tonight. Pedro Dean absolutely deserving of that first place spot. 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, all the way down. We just got to see so much these Dallara LMP2s on the Glen coming through in a big, big way today, Evan, delivering some of the best racing we've seen all season long.
Yes, certainly. And rather intriguingly enough, our 2 pole sitters from the reverse grids went on to win the race. We did not actually see the person who started first leave first, which is, it's different for AMX 10. Usually we see battles across for the race win, but yeah, impressive showings from both our Brazilian winners, but that was a fabulous race across the board.
Yeah, it really was, Evan. So much to talk about there. And if you guys want to see more from that race, not only can you watch that clipped and edited to perfection on our YouTube channel, but you'll also be seeing highlights from this race and all of our others be shared throughout the season. We've got a lot to talk about, not only today, but also later on. I'm going to be watching that a little bit later too. So some really exciting racing and some exciting racers, and we might get a chance to hear from a few of them here in just a few minutes. So if you are watching and you're thinking about some questions, you can always share those questions with us in chat. If we are interviewing someone that you are curious about, then let us know your questions and we'll make sure to communicate those as much as we can. So just gonna hop through and look for a few interviews. Looks like we might have an interview with the man that we just saw on your screen earlier. And so we're gonna take a quick break, and then we'll be back in just a second with our first interview of the night to get a chance to hear from some of our racers from AMX 10. right, let's go ahead and start our interview off by welcoming Pedro Dean to the interview. Pedro, how are you doing?
Hi, I'm doing fine.
So you had an impressive race, kind of single player finish in Heat 2. What was it like racing in AMX tonight?
Honestly, I didn't expect to have so much pace today. I was P2 on quali, just behind Florian, that's like an alien, so I was really happy with my pace in quali. And in race 1, I realized that like it's impossible to overtake properly in this track. So I like only had one chance to overtake Simon. I tried, but I just stayed in P15, and I knew that if I didn't do any mistakes, I would win Heat 2, and that's exactly how it happened.
Yeah, a great job getting that reverse grid into first place and finishing almost 3.5 seconds in the lead. An incredible drive. And so if anybody is watching and they're watching you drive this LMP2 car out there, you're obviously very skilled at it. Do you have any other advice for other sim racers who want to be as good as you are at driving these LMPs?
Honestly, just have to pay attention on the traction control of this car. That's really like you have to accelerate exactly before it activates and holds your acceleration. So like you have to calculate like the precision of your accelerator, like 8%. It's like so the traction control won't hold you back. That's the major tip to drive this car.
Hold on, let me write that down real fast. Great job tonight, and this is the first time that we're getting a chance to interview you. So I'm kind of curious, how did you get into sim racing in the first place, and what are you racing in currently?
This is the only league that I'm racing right now, and I got into league racing the Formula 1 game in 2018. Like I started, I really liked it, and when like the COVID-19 thing came, I had some really big championships in Brazil that you could win money, and like you won like tickets to Brazil Grand Prix. So like I started focusing on it, and I realized that if with the proper training I could be fast. So like when I went to iRacing, I started focusing on racing in like December 2021. I realized that like if you do the right things, like watch other tricky guys racing and just try to do exactly the same thing that I do until today, you can be fast. So like I'm just doing this, and I'm here now.
Yeah, just do what Pedro did tonight, guys, and you'll be fine. Great job tonight. Congratulations on your win, and we hope to see you back here more in AMX Global League Season 3. Thank you so much, Pedro.
Thank you.
All right, let's go ahead and get started with our second interview, and I want to welcome Simon Demori. Simon, wow, welcome back, and what a crazy race tonight in AMX 10. How are you feeling? Tell me what was going through your head in that final heat.
It was really intense, obviously. I just thought don't let it through, don't let him get beside you, because I knew it was so difficult to overtake. Everyone was quite similar on pace, and the only real chance was if a driver made a mistake, so I tried to keep it cool and hit all the apexes. But obviously it got very challenging when Pedro pulled away a bit and I didn't have stiff anymore. So yeah, the last 5 laps were super intense, but I'm glad I made it through.
Yeah, wow, those final laps were so intense. Was that just your only thought? Was just don't let them get beside you? Because you also have to, manage your braking, your tires, like keep everything else under control as you're driving around Watkins Glen. How do you balance all of that?
Yeah, I really tried not to lock up the brakes and don't make a mistake, because that's like game over then. So yeah, I tried to hit all my braking points, keep it cool, stay concentrated, and yeah, just cover the inside whenever he's close to me, and it worked out well in the end, luckily.
Okay, I have a personal question here. So obviously you're wearing racing gloves and you're trying to make sure to hang on there. What can you tell a real difference there? I was watching. It seems like that was like the only thing keeping your hands on the wheel going through some of those really crazy turns.
I don't know why I'm wearing them exactly. I just feel a bit more comfortable, I'd say. I just got so used to wearing them, so now it feels weird not wearing them. But yeah, I don't think it's giving me any advantage in terms of like pace or anything.
Well, it looks badass, so mission accomplished there. Congratulations on your P2 finish. Are you racing in anything else right now or just focusing on AMX?
Mainly focusing on AMX, and yeah, besides that, I'm just doing some of the official races for fun. But like league racing, I'm only doing AMX at the moment.
Well, congratulations on your win here today. Or I guess it wasn't a win. Well, it was basically a win. It would have been a win if you could have teleported 3.5 seconds into the future. But great job.
That would have been nice,
yeah, I mean, once I figure out my time machine, I'll let you know. Either way, some great racing. Thanks for giving us a great show tonight. And we look forward to seeing you back here again in the future.
Thanks for having me. Cheers.
Wow, what a way to finish things out there. I knew it. Evan, I watched these guys with their racing gloves, and I knew that it didn't do anything, but it does give you cool points. So as far as style goes, great to hear from Simon Demori there.
Well, it doesn't make you quicker, but it protects your wheel. That's something I found. It protects your wheel, because I may or may not have a set. But yeah, it protects the wheel. It just protects the fabric. Yeah, it doesn't give you any advantage. There's no difference, really.
Yeah, but it does make you look cooler. I wonder, like, if I put racing gloves on myself, then would I walk faster down the hallway? Like, I think that's how it works, right? If I wear a Ferrari jumpsuit, does that also make me move fast? I don't know. I'll have to test these and get back to you guys. But that's how it works, right? Either way, that's a really, really cool way to close things out. Glad we got a chance to talk to some of the racers who really excelled in some of our races today. And I think we are ready to show you guys a look at the results overall from today's races. If we have that prepared, it's going to give you a chance to see, okay, well, I watched some racing tonight, but like, what happened? So this is a look at Pedro Dean, Florian Lebigre, and Fabio Zamperlini, who find themselves on the podium tonight. Fabio, with his win, puts himself up there with a total of $48 collected for him. In first place is Pedro Dean, who, of course, with that win in Heat 2, clocks himself up at $68, and then Florian Lebigre just barely behind P2 on the day, with, of course, the rest of your racers on down below there. What a crazy race. And I do want to point out, we kind of had a tie there between Corentin Ganez and Fabio, so we can only choose one person to put up there. It's going to be Fabio because we like his livery more. No, I'm just kidding. He's up there on the podium at $48, so really, really cool to see. So many awesome racers. And that's the way the cookie crumbles tonight. Pedro Dean, Florian Lebigre in his first time in AMX 10 tonight finds himself on second place in the podium, and then Fabio Zamperlini in P3. That's the way that things happened here tonight, and man, it couldn't have been a better day of races, especially AMX 10. That's the reason that we have you pay $10 to enter, because the race is so good. $600 on the line, and we got a chance to watch all of our racers fight for every single penny of that, and I couldn't have picked a better person to share it with. Thanks for joining me tonight, Evan.
Thank you very much. It was genuinely a fabulous race. Two Watkins Glen races are two of the best races that I've enjoyed all year, and it's November. So, yeah, you're not going to want to miss any more AMX 10, are you? Wednesdays, Saturdays, Sundays. Reed went through it earlier. Be here.
That's right, and hope to see you back here again soon, Evan. We'll be getting through things next
Hopefully.
week, and then only a few more weeks after that because we are coming down to the end of the season. So if you want to get a chance to race in AMX Global League Season 3, you have a limited time to do it. So head on over to amxrace.com, sign up there, and you can also find more information, including highlights, announcements, everything in between on our social media. So make sure to head on over to Twitter and Instagram, AMX Global on there, and then also join us in the AMX Global Discord. You can get a chance to talk to any of the racers that you saw on your stream tonight and also interact with them in other ways, post some memes or cat pictures or whatever. It's a great time and we'd love to see you in there. And last but not least, make sure to follow us and subscribe on YouTube and Twitch. We really appreciate your support and we'd love to have you guys alongside us all season long. And so a big shout out to everybody who drove, watched, produced, co-casted, and everyone in between. It's a team effort, and we'd love to have you guys along with us this season. Hope to see you back here again next week for even more action from AMX Global League Season 3.